You've no doubt heard of Prince William's alleged affair with Rose Hanbury. The royal scandal has been plastered all over tabloids since early 2019, but are the rumors about Kate Middleton's husband really true? The news of William's supposed affair with Rose Hanbury was first reported in April 2019, but rumors of infidelity started circulating before then. According to reports, Prince William's alleged affair unfolded when his wife, Kate Middleton, was pregnant with their third child, Prince Louis, who was born on April 23, 2018. If true, this means that by the time the press picked up on the potential scandal, at least a year had passed since the alleged affair took place. An anonymous source told In Touch that when confronted by his wife, William just laughed it off, saying there was nothing to it. As for whether there really was trouble in paradise, In Touch's source told the magazine, "They come across as a perfect couple who can do no wrong, but the reality is most couples have their issues, and William and Kate are no different." The relationship between Prince William and Kate Middleton goes back to the early 2000s. The pair became friends their first year at the University of St. Andrews in 2001, and by 2003, the pair had begun dating. In 2007, Kate and William hit a rough patch and briefly split up. While they were on a break, it was insinuated that Prince William wasn't serious about Middleton and that he wasn't ready to settle down yet. An anonymous source told the Daily Mail he has always had a roving eye, far more so than Harry, who was meant to be the family playboy. That's something Kate has always known and accepted. It was part of the deal, if you like. I suppose in that respect, she would have made a perfect Princess of Wales. In spite of the rumors, the prince got back together with Kate just a couple of months after the split.
I, William Arthur Philip Louis.
Take thee, Catherine Elizabeth.
Take thee, Catherine Elizabeth.
To my wedded wife.
To my wedded wife.
Before the scandal erupted, Rose Hanbury and Kate Middleton seemed to be friendly. A 2016 article by Hello magazine described Hanbury as the Duchess's friend and revealed that Hanbury and her husband David, the 7th Marquis of Cholmondeley, lived just 3 miles away from Kate and William's Norfolk residence, Anmer Hall. Before the rumored affair, the two couples were said to be quite close, setting up playdates for their children and even attending weddings together. A source told The Sun, William and David's backgrounds are similar, while Kate and Rose's lives were at similar points. Apparently, Hanbury and the Duchess bonded over their love of organic food and frequently talked about parenting. They also reportedly enjoyed many dinner parties together. Although Prince William reportedly denied having an affair with Rose Hanbury when confronted about the rumors, Kate Middleton allegedly took action. The Duchess of Cambridge is said to have told her husband to stop associating with the Hanburys altogether. A source reportedly told In Touch, Kate sees their friendship in an entirely different light now. The Sun also claimed that the rift between the two women went much deeper, with a source alleging, "It is well known that Kate and Rose have had a terrible falling out. They used to be close, but that is not the case anymore. William wants to play peacemaker so the two couples can remain friends, given they live so close to each other and share many mutual friends." But Kate has been clear that she doesn't want to see them anymore and wants William to phase them out, despite their social status. After In Touch broke the news of the rumored affair, other publications reported that the royal marriage was struggling, but that there was no chance of the couple divorcing. Some might interpret the couple's decision to stay together as proof that nothing happened or that Middleton had forgiven her husband. Others, however, might think that the pair stayed together because of Queen Elizabeth II's desire to avoid any more scandals in the family. In 2006, the Sunday Express reported that according to a palace aide, the Queen allegedly told her grandson to choose his bride carefully because there had been too many royal divorces. If the conversation really happened, the Queen was likely referring to the divorce of Prince William's own parents, Prince Charles and Princess Diana. Only one of Queen Elizabeth's children, Prince Edward, has remained married to his first spouse. Even though Prince William is said to have denied the rumors, his lawyers threatened legal action against the media outlets spreading them. The Daily Beast reported that after the press broke the news of the alleged affair, at least one British publication was served a warning by a law firm working on behalf of the royal family. According to the site, the warning said, in addition to being false and highly damaging, the publication of false speculation in respect of our client's private life also constitutes a breach of his privacy pursuant to Article 8 of the European Convention to Human Rights. Former royal editor of The Sun, Duncan Larkham, told the Daily Beast, the use of a legal letter by William as a future king is very much a move of last resort. If the stories of Kate freezing Rose out are true, then whatever caused the falling out must have been very serious. While traditionally the British royal family would not take specific legal action, William and Harry are willing to do it their own way. The seemingly solid relationship between Prince William and Kate Middleton makes it hard to believe that he would ever cheat. With a beautiful wife and 3 gorgeous kids, the prince looks like he is living in an actual fairy tale. However, Rose Hanbury's life might not be quite as charmed. While Kate and William are close in age and have known each other since their youth, Hanbury's husband is much older. The 23-year age difference even puts them in different generations, as Hanbury is a millennial while her husband is a boomer. It also means that their marriage is statistically more likely to end in divorce. Of their marriage, a source told The Sun, David Chumley let it slip when he had been drinking that Rose is aware of what people are saying about her and William. And it seems Rose's marriage has less romance these days. He's much older than her, and they have different interests. In June 2019, new life was breathed into the affair rumors when Hanbury appeared with her husband at a state banquet for Donald Trump at Buckingham Palace. But the couple's joint appearance was called into question as Hanbury wasn't wearing her wedding ring. A source allegedly told the Daily Mail, "People are worried about her. The most loyal friends are sticking by her, but others, they haven't. On top of that, she has a husband who is away more than he is present. It has been a lonely time." While it's possible that Hanbury has been having marital problems, she might also have been getting her ring resized or cleaned. Before she became part of Kate Middleton's circle of friends, Rose Hanbury worked as a model and was signed to Storm, the same agency that discovered Kate Moss. According to Hello magazine, Hanbury got married in 2009 when she was pregnant with her first child. At the time of their marriage, David Chumley was considered to be one of the most eligible bachelors in England. And while Hanbury obtained the title of Marchioness through marriage, she already had aristocratic roots. Her grandmother was close friends with Prince William's grandmother, the Queen, and served as a bridesmaid at the monarch's 1947 wedding to Prince Philip, according to People. While Hanbury wasn't part of the wedding party when Prince William got married in 2011, she was apparently present at the royal event.
I think we'll take it one step at a time. We'll sort of get over the marriage thing first and then maybe look at the kids.
According to the Daily Mail, the friendship between the two couples goes even deeper than playdates and dinner parties, and Rose Hanbury and Kate Middleton aren't the only ones who were said to have enjoyed a close personal friendship. Prince William and David Chumley were also reportedly quite close before the rumored rift. In fact, Chumley's relationship with the royal family goes back even further than his ties with the prince, though. The Marquis is also a close friend of William's father, Prince Charles. Plus, he has an important connection to the Queen. At age 14, Chumley was awarded the title of Page of Honor by Queen Elizabeth II, and he also serves as the Lord Great Chamberlain, which carries official royal responsibilities each year. It's quite likely that the gossip about an affair is nothing more than a vicious rumor that has spiraled out of control. And this wouldn't be the first time the tabloids have tried to pit Rose Hanbury and Kate Middleton against each other. In 2016, the Daily Mail even implied that the friends were frenemies, suggesting that Hanbury's lavish lifestyle might make her even more worthy of envy than the Duchess of Cambridge. However, in March 2019, shortly before the press published rumors of the affair, one source told The Sun, "These hurtful rumors of a fallout are simply false. William and David were in touch with each other over the weekend, not knowing whether to laugh or complain. Both wives are hurt by the suggestion that there is any argument or even a coolness between them. They have plans for future events involving their charity." Meanwhile, a source told the Daily Mail, both couples laughed when it was first carelessly put around and endlessly repeated, even though it was patently not true. As more and more people passed it on, it took on a life of its own and has now become hurtful and toxic. According to one report, Kate Middleton doesn't actually believe the rumors of her husband's infidelity. In fact, it's even been suggested that the Duchess of Cambridge has been distancing herself from Rose Hanbury simply to put any rumors to rest and not give the press any opportunities to photograph them together. An anonymous source told Hollywood Life, "Kate and William generally ignore these sorts of nasty rumors, but this one has really rocked them. That's why lawyers are involved. The rumor is so ugly and so false, they couldn't just ignore it. And it doesn't just hurt them. They are very concerned for Rose. She's a married woman with children, and she's not used to this kind of public scrutiny. She's a friend of not only Kate's, but also the entire family, so this is upsetting for everyone." The source also made it clear that the Duchess of Cambridge has pretty thick skin when it comes to rumors in the press, and told Hollywood Life, "Luckily, Kate's extraordinarily strong. She's so good at rising above these kinds of things. She trusts William and doesn't want to give the rumors any attention." Aside from Prince William's lawyers warning the press to back off, the royal family has remained quiet about the speculated affair, as well as the alleged rift between Rose Hanbury and Kate Middleton. Hanbury's family is also refusing to add fuel to the rumors and has been avoiding the press. Just before the news broke of the alleged affair, the Scottish Mail on Sunday asked Hanbury's parents about the rumored royal rift. Hanbury's father reportedly told the publication, "Nothing to say about it. Got no comment. There is no comment." Rose has kept quiet when it comes to the affair rumors. However, a representative for the Chumleys said in a statement to the International Business Times, "There is no foundation to any of the tabloid articles that have appeared. There is nothing else to say whatsoever." Considering the fact that Rose attended church with Kate and William in early 2020, it would seem that the former friends have put their differences aside. But we'll probably never know the truth about Prince William's alleged relationship with Rose Hanbury.
The royal family is in the news constantly, but two royals whose relationship isn't always talked about are Princess Anne and Kate Middleton. Do these royal family members get along? We did the digging, so you don't have to. Here's the truth about the inner workings of Princess Anne and Kate Middleton's relationship. There's no denying that the media coverage of Kate Middleton has been extensive. Ever since she came onto the scene back when she and Prince William were dating as college students, there has been immense interest in her. So much so that at times she was criticised for simply living her life, as noted by BuzzFeed News. After Kate got married to William, things calmed down a little bit, but revved back up as royal tensions bubbled to the surface. Princess Anne, who also came of age in a spotlighted position, shared her thoughts on the scrutiny and attention that Kate has been exposed to. In the documentary, Anne, the Princess Royal at 70, Anne said, "The pressure that is applied to the younger members of the family, it's always worse." The Princess Royal went on to say that the media attention that Kate is exposed to is challenging, and pointed to the fact that social media has made things that much more challenging, saying,
"The pressure that is applied to the younger members of the family is hard sometimes to deal with.
There was no social media in my day, and it's probably made it more difficult." The world always watches the royals when it comes to paying tribute to their family members. For instance, it was very obvious that things were dicey when Prince William and Kate Middleton didn't publicly wish Prince Harry and Meghan Markle well on their third wedding anniversary. So, needless to say, when Kate issues a public message, the world takes notice. This was especially true when she wished Princess Anne a happy 70th birthday on social media. The caption on the post read, "Wishing a very happy 70th birthday to Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal." The post had more than 500,000 likes. The world was understandably shaken when Prince Philip, Queen Elizabeth's husband, died in 2021. While he was getting on in years, his presence within the royal family and his importance to the Queen cannot be understated. As such, when Philip died, Kate Middleton and Princess Anne reportedly joined ranks and devised a plan to address the Queen's needs moving forward. According to Express, Kate and Anne were joined by Camilla Parker-Bowles and Sophie, Countess of Wessex. The royal women apparently developed a plan to ensure that the Queen was not left by herself while on the job. A source close to the palace told the Mirror, "The Queen will not be alone. She will have others who care about her deeply and want to be there to support her in her most pressing hour." Given that Anne is Elizabeth's only daughter and that Kate has been on the royal scene for more than a decade, it makes sense that they joined together to address such a trying time for their family and for the monarch. After proving her worth and dedication to the royal family, just as Princess Anne did, Kate Middleton was given a very prestigious title by Queen Elizabeth and now shares it with Anne, as well as Prince Philip and Camilla Parker-Bowles. As noted by Express, the Queen named Kate a Dane Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order, and the new title coincided with her 8th wedding anniversary to Prince William. The title is the highest rank in a form of chivalry personally granted by the sovereign to recognise one's service. And given that service is extremely important to Anne, the distinction and shared title between her and Kate is highly notable. Express further noted that Anne was bestowed the very same title in 2007, and she also holds the role of Grand Master. Maintaining the image of the crown has been very crucial to both Anne and Kate, and as of 2018, their titles bond them. The Olympics. Just the two words alone spark a certain amount of home country pride and competition, but that's nothing compared to the feelings of dedication and patriotism that arise when it's your own country that's hosting. The Olympics were held in London in 2012, and the royals were front and centre in the stands. Kate Middleton and Princess Anne were spotted together at the Games on a number of occasions. The pair were seen chatting in the stands with each other, discussing what we can only assume were the riveting events that were playing out in front of them. Of course, the 2012 Olympics were a huge deal for Anne, as her daughter, Zara Tindall, won a silver medal in the equestrian team event. When Kate Middleton and Prince William's first child, Prince George, was born, it seemed like the whole world celebrated with them. That is, except for Princess Anne, it appeared. As noted by Express, the Princess Royal is said to have dropped an interesting comment about the new addition to the family, and it supposedly ruffled some feathers. So what exactly happened? Before George was born, Anne was asked if she was looking forward to having a new little bundle of joy in the royal family. She reportedly responded to the question by saying, "Nothing to do with me, but it's very good news." If you think the answer is a little odd, you're not the only one. People took to social media to call out Anne for her comment, with some people calling her, quote, miserable. It remains unclear just how much Anne's comment impacted her relationship with Kate, but we can't imagine it went over extremely well. If you're confused about royal protocols, you're not alone. There are a lot of rules to follow, so much so that who Kate Middleton curtsies to changes depending on who she is with at the time. As noted by Cheat Sheet, Kate has to curtsy to Princess Anne, but only when she is not accompanied by her husband, Prince William. When alone, Kate also has to curtsy to Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, as she is not of royal blood. But all of that changes when William is around. If he is, Anne then has to curtsy to Kate. Even though Kate did not inherit her royal title by birth, she is still poised to take on one of the highest ranked positions in the royal family. When William becomes king, Kate will become queen consort. When that happens, everyone, including Anne, will have to bow or curtsy to her, except for her husband. Princess Anne is by and large known as the hardest working royal. She has outperformed her family members in terms of attending events and has not been shy when sharing what she thinks about the approach of younger royals, namely Kate Middleton and Prince William. In a sit-down interview with Vanity Fair, Anne said that even though she may look like the, quote, boring old fuddy-duddy, she's always gone about her royal duties in the same way, and she knows what it takes to be a successful member of the royal family. Anne told the publication, "I don't think this younger generation probably understands what I was doing in the past. Nowadays, they're much more looking for, oh, let's do it a new way, and I'm already at the stage, please do not reinvent that particular wheel. Some of these things don't work." Anne continued by saying that the younger royals need, quote, to go back to basics when it comes to their approach to royal life. The royal family, as most of us know, has been in flux for the last couple of years. Things changed dramatically when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announced that they would be stepping back from their roles as senior royals, and as such, the core group of royal family members have banded together in a new and unique way.
I was trapped, but I didn't know I was trapped.
Because of the shifting values of the family, Princess Anne and Kate Middleton are gearing up to work together far more closely than before. As noted by The Observer, Queen Elizabeth is establishing the new firm, and it will be composed of herself and 7 senior royals: Anne, Kate, Prince William, Prince Charles, Camilla Parker Bowles, Prince Edward, and Sophie, Countess of Wessex. Because of this, royal fans will most likely see Anne and Kate attending each other's events more often than in the past. The new firm has already started to work closely together and even joined a video call all together to pay tribute to healthcare workers during the pandemic. Kate Middleton always looks good. She's put together, classy, and always the picture of sophistication. But eagle-eyed fans have started to notice that Kate may be taking fashion inspiration from none other than Princess Anne, who started many fashion trends during the 1970s. As noted by Express, Kate was spotted in a green dress that featured long sleeves and a high neckline. The entire ensemble was very indicative of Anne's go-to silhouette. The dress in question hasn't been the only time that Kate has echoed the fashion choices of the Princess Royal. Express reported that after Kate returned to royal duty following the birth of her youngest child, Prince Louis, she was seen in a number of 1970s-inspired looks that featured high necklines and bell-shaped sleeves, all silhouettes that were rocked by Anne years prior. Kate may also be looking to Anne for inspiration when it comes to her royal duties. As aforementioned, Anne is one of the most prominent, hard-working members of the royal family. It makes sense that, given Kate's direct line to the throne, she would be emulating the royal example that Anne has set forth.
It all came crashing down when Edward barged into William's private school life with a camera crew and provoked the wrath of a king. Everything since has been tainted by the fallout from that fateful day. To get the full picture of Prince Edward's relationship with Prince William, we have to go back to the beginning. Edward was only 17 years old when his older brother, the now King Charles III, married Diana Spencer. Initially taken by the young prince, Diana was said to have found Edward adorable, but the friendly impression wasn't shared. According to the Channel 5 documentary, Paxman on the Queen's Children, Ingrid Seward, a storied royal biographer, asserted that Edward found Diana to be fine, but found more of a connection with Sarah Ferguson, Prince Andrew's then wife. Seward said, "He actually used to sometimes have lunch with Fergie, who would drive from the palace and meet him here and take him out to lunch because they were very close at one time. He liked her and she liked him, and she was young and fun, and she was interested in what he did." Not only was there distance between Edward and Diana, but the Queen's youngest son took a very awkward stance in the wake of Diana's death. As noted in Paxman on the Queen's Children, Edward was asked to visit the Book of Condolences made in Diana's honour and talk to mourners, but he initially refused. Royal weddings genuinely feel like the decade's events, and Prince Edward's 1999 wedding to Sophie, Countess of Wessex, was no exception. And while the happy couple celebrated their nuptials, Edward had a very odd fight to pick with Prince William. As noted by Express, an unearthed report revealed that Edward had photos of William at the wedding altered, as he didn't think his nephew appeared joyful enough. Sir Geoffrey Shakerley, the photographer of the big day in question, admitted that Edward thought William was not looking his best and requested to have the young prince's face digitally altered in the wedding's aftermath. Shakerley told ITN News, "Prince Edward said he didn't think Prince William looked absolutely his best, so digitally we were able to put in another picture of Prince William from one of the other shots where he is smiling and laughing." While Shakerley's assistant, Robert Simpson, asserted that William was jubilant throughout the wedding and the day as a whole, the young prince had apparently glanced down as a photograph was being taken, resulting in a scowling facial expression. Either way, Edward's request was undoubtedly an odd one, and a move we haven't witnessed in the royal family often. While Diana's death in 1997 and Prince Edward's wedding in 1999 proved to be a bit tense for Ed and his nephew, their relationship took a turn for the worse in 2001. For a time, Edward had aspirations to make it in the film industry, establishing his own production company, Ardent. But the venture was unsuccessful, and Edward decided to film a then-young William while a student at St Andrews in a last-ditch effort to save the company. As it turned out, William had strict privacy agreements in place at the university, so he could enjoy life as a student without the scrutiny of cameras, paparazzi, and the press. But it was at the hands of his uncle that his quiet life as a student was disrupted. Robert Jobson wrote in his 2006 book, William's Princess, William felt his uncle's company's actions had threatened to undermine the carefully nurtured relationship between St James's Palace and the media. To know anything about the royal family is to know that King Charles III and his younger brother Prince Edward have seldom seen eye to eye. Reports of jealousy and malice between the two have plagued headlines for decades, and Edward's production stunt at Prince William's University certainly didn't help. As noted by Robert Jobson in his 2006 book, William's Princess, Charles blew his lid when Edward came onto the campus of St Andrews with a camera crew, and the now monarch made it clear that his younger brother needed to choose. his company or his family. Jobson wrote in his book, Charles berated his youngest sibling, furiously demanding from the Queen that Edward be made to choose once and for all between his public duties and his television production company, itself many believed little more than a vanity project dependent on Edward's title for what little success it had. The royal biographer went on to write that Charles and Edward's relationship plummeted to an all-time low, and the now king even publicly criticised his brother, something that royal family members seldom do. In his book, Jobson explained the shocking turn of events. In unusually blunt terms, a spokeswoman for Prince Charles said that he was disappointed, very much so. Other officials more believably told me that Charles was in a rage about it. I learned that Prince Charles tore into his brother in a telephone conversation.
I mean, it's very sad.
Given the blatant disregard for Prince William's privacy at St Andrews, Prince Edward's production company started to unravel. As Robert Jobson concluded in William's Princess, Edward's television ventures already suffered from little support from the royal family, and the incident at St Andrews involving a then very young William was the final straw. Jobson wrote of the St Andrews aftermath, only the Duke of Edinburgh, who doted on his youngest child, had agreed to be interviewed on camera as a personal favour, but not even he could condone it now. Talk about tension. By 2002, Edward's production company was finished. The Guardian's Andy Beckett wrote an extensive piece about what happened to Ardent and asserted that the company was an industry laughingstock that demanded zero respect from the British film world. An anonymous competitor told Beckett of Edward's production company, "They're a sad joke in the industry, really. As time has gone on, their incompetence has become more and more obvious." We can imagine that things weren't peachy between William and Edward after all this.
I only hope that you've enjoyed yourselves. Have you?
They say that time heals all wounds, and while Prince Edward and Prince William's relationship went through the ringer, they appeared to warm up to each other with time. As William introduced Catherine, Princess of Wales, to the royal family all those years ago, Edward revealed that they loved her from the start and felt confident in her abilities to navigate royal life. According to Express, the Earl of Wessex said in 2012, "Catherine is doing very well. She has taken to royal life like a duck to water. She's very gracious, and the family is very proud of her." Edward's praise didn't come without a spot of hesitation, however. According to Express, he went on to add this bit of caution to his nephew's new bride. It was never going to be easy for Catherine, as the whole world is watching her every move. She's dealt with it very well, though. I think Catherine can only grow in confidence now her first official engagements are out of the way. The father of two went on to share that Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were very protective of the young couple, revealing that while William grew up with an overly enthused press, Catherine had much to get used to. According to Express, Edward went on to conclude, "I think William and Harry, as well as my brother, have tried their best to make her transition into public life as gentle as possible." Queen Elizabeth II's death on September 8, 2022 shook the world in a very profound way, but the late monarch's passing also marked the end and beginning of a new era for the royal family.
As I stand before you today, I cannot help but feel the weight of history which surrounds us.
It's common knowledge among royal watchers that King Charles III has had every intention to slim down the monarchy as much as possible. And it's become clear that Prince Edward is going to take a back seat to Prince William, his wife Kate, and their 3 children. Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip intended for Edward to adopt the Dukedom of Edinburgh after his father's passing, a matter that the Queen, Philip, and Charles were said to agree on. Edward's assumption of the title once belonging to Philip would mark a significant step in his royal life. However, things have changed dramatically since then. According to The Daily Beast, the royal editor of the Sunday Times, Roy Anika, had this to say: "Prince Charles is the Duke of Edinburgh as it stands, and it is up to him what happens to the title. It will not go to Edward." Richard Kay noted in the Daily Mail that Charles would likely bestow the Dukedom of Edinburgh to William's youngest son, Prince Louis. When it comes to the royal family, normal familial roles and seniority don't apply. Instead, everything has to do with the order of succession, designation as a senior royal, and who will one day ascend the throne. Of course, you don't have to be a royal fan to know that titles are everything in a monarchy, and as it happens, there's a critical difference between Prince William and Prince Edward's roles in the firm. As of 2022, both William and Edward are considered working royals. Another working royal is Princess Anne, Queen Elizabeth's only daughter. She attended a whopping 506 events in 2019 alone, almost exceeding King Charles III and outperforming everyone else. But while William, Edward, his wife Sophie, and Anne are all considered working royals, the Prince of Wales and his family are granted way more security protection than the Queen's children and their spouses. All royals are protected during official events and engagements, but William, Catherine, and their 3 children are granted round-the-clock protection, the Daily Mail has reported. Global Citizen also noted that while William and Kate were living at Kensington Palace, their home included a panic room with an air filtration system, guarding against biological warfare, and an escape tunnel. Edward might be the Queen's son, but William is the monarchy's future and seems to get preferential treatment.
Well, thanks for sounding so bloody enthusiastic.
Do siblings Prince Andrew and Princess Anne get along? Considering Andrew's alleged role in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring? Hard to say, but their history is quite revealing. Prince Andrew and Princess Anne are 2 of the 4 children of Queen Elizabeth II and the late Prince Philip. They are the 2 middle children in between their 2 other siblings, Prince Charles, the eldest, and Prince Edward, the youngest. Prince Andrew has frequently made headlines over the years from various scandals, from his messy and dramatic marriage and divorce to royal faux pas, to the latest scandal caused by his association with the late Jeffrey Epstein.
But you were staying at the house of a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay.
But where does Anne fit into his scandalous lifestyle? Like most siblings, Andrew and Anne have a lot in common and a lot to argue about. From family drama to the trials of political life, there is likely way more going on behind the scenes than we will ever know for sure. But that doesn't mean we can't pry a little. Compared to how Princess Anne and older brother Prince Charles were treated as children, Prince Andrew was spoiled. To put it mildly, Andrew has frequently been rumored to be his mother's favorite. So much so that Netflix's The Crown even included this as the theme of an episode in season 4.
Everyone knows who your favorite is.
Do they?
Yes.
While it could merely be that the Queen had more time to commit to motherhood when she had her second 2 children compared to her first 2, since her older 2 children were born just before she became Queen, the evidence that she paid special attention to Andrew is a bit too convincing to ignore. According to the Daily Mail, Andrew had reported 7 nurseries in 4 different palaces, and even as a baby, was called Baby Grumpling, and other nicknames poking fun at his tendency to get into trouble. His knack for trouble followed him throughout his life, but he never seemed to be punished too severely, if at all. The Daily Mail noted a particular instance of Andrew's pompousness when he underplayed a tragedy while visiting Lockerbie, where Pan Am Flight 103 crashed in December 1988, killing 11 locals on the ground, 243 passengers, and 16 crew members. Andrew told those grieving in Lockerbie that the tragedy was much worse for the Americans, which numbers-wise was true. It was still thoughtless and unprofessional, considering 270 people had been killed in total after a bomb on board the plane exploded, leading to the crash. The Queen responded to Andrew's insensitive behavior by simply saying, "I wish I had gone." Those who frequently watch Netflix's The Crown may already be aware, but despite being younger than Princess Anne, Prince Andrew was next in line for the throne after their elder brother Prince Charles and his children. This is due to a technicality under the Succession of the Crown Act of 2013, which states, quote, "The gender of a person born after October 28, 2011 does not give that person or that person's descendants precedence over any other person whenever born, when determining the succession of the crown." According to Express, after Prince Andrew was stripped of his royal privileges, many citizens of the UK came out to say that Princess Anne would make a better ruler than any of her siblings. One Express reader commented, "Now is the time to right a wrong and end discrimination against our excellent Princess Anne."
I know what you mean.
According to Vanity Fair, despite being in her 70s now, Princess Anne continues to work, even as Prince Andrew was pushed into retirement after the scandal of his association with the late Jeffrey Epstein was brought to light. Considering that Princess Anne and Prince Andrew are kind of opposites, it seems likely that the two may not always get along. Princess Anne has been known for her straightforward nature, and she is the self-described boring old fuddy-duddy at the back saying, "Don't forget the basics," according to Vanity Fair. In contrast, Prince Andrew is well known for not being too serious and having perhaps a little bit too much fun on occasion. Opposing personalities normally can be overlooked for the sake of familial obligation and love, but that may not always be enough to keep squabbles at bay. According to David Lee, co-author of The Duchess of York Uncensored, Anne once called Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's wife, an outsider at a family lunch, and there was a furious row between Andrew and Anne. After Ferguson left the lunch crying, Prince Andrew demanded that Anne apologize, and she reportedly did. Despite differing personalities and some occasional tension, all too common amongst siblings, Princess Anne and Prince Andrew have quite a bit in common. For one thing, they both went through very public breakups the very same year. In 1992, both Prince Andrew and Princess Anne experienced changes within their marriages. Andrew and his wife, Sarah Ferguson, legally separated that year, though they weren't officially divorced until 1996. And in April of 1992, Princess Anne officially divorced her husband, Mark Phillips. She later married Timothy Lawrence in December of the same year. Another thing Andrew and Anne have in common is that they both have 2 children. Anne has a son, Peter, and a daughter, Zara Ann, and Andrew has 2 daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. While we're sure their experiences varied, it's possible they exchanged parenting advice, as most siblings in similar situations would. After Prince Andrew's past came back to haunt him, and he began dealing with the legal fallout of having been associated with the late Jeffrey Epstein, Princess Anne and the rest of her siblings got together to discuss what would come to be referred to as the Andrew problem. A source told the Daily Mail, the 3 siblings held several meetings, one of which included Prince Andrew. They were all in agreement, which took the pressure off their mother, but it is the Queen, ultimately, who still has the power here. The source explained how the Queen's eldest son, Prince Charles, and Prince Andrew, quote, aren't particularly close, so it was important that any meetings were held with Anne and Edward present. This could be seen in one of 2 ways. 1, it could be seen as the siblings getting together to bully Andrew out of his royal and military titles, leaving him essentially an outcast. Or 2, it can be seen as all the siblings, Andrew included, coming together to discuss how to take the pressure off their mother after Andrew's attempt at getting the court case dismissed failed. Either way, the family at least came together to handle the news.
There are few relationships within the royal family that elicit more conjecture and gossip than that of Princess Anne and Camilla Parker Bowles. Their history dates back to the 70s, and it's evolved quite a bit over the decades. Let's take a look at the truth of their complicated ties. There's nothing better than meeting a potential significant other through mutual friends. Or is there? As noted by Express, Camilla Parker Bowles met her future husband, Prince Charles, through Princess Anne. The situation, however, was not as peachy as it seems. Royal author Penny Junor told Express that it was through Anne's relationship with Andrew Parker Bowles that Camilla and Charles met, and thus their, quote, little fling began. We'll get into Anne's relationship with Andrew in a moment, but what did the initial melting pot between the royals and both Parker Bowleses look like? As noted by Town & Country, Camilla and Charles met at a polo match in 1970, and Camilla was quick with her remarks. She reportedly said, "My great-grandmother was the mistress of your great-great-grandfather. I feel we have something in common." Yes, she was that bold. Of course, Anne was involved with Andrew at the time, and Charles left soon after for his Royal Navy service. When he came back, Camilla was engaged to Andrew, which undoubtedly left both the prince and princess feeling rather snubbed. Camilla Parker Bowles and Princess Anne haven't had the easiest relationship, and that could be thanks to their involvement with the same man. Sally Bedell-Smith, Prince Charles's biographer, told Town & Country that Anne and Andrew Parker Bowles were romantically involved in the 1970s. The two were reportedly quite taken with each other, but the royal family put their foot down when the idea of marriage came into play. Why? Andrew was Catholic, and as a member of the Church of England, Anne wasn't allowed to marry him. That's not to say that their relationship dwindled, but Andrew did meet Camilla and he popped the question. Andrew and Camilla were married on July 4, 1973 at the Guards Chapel, and their reception was held at St James's Palace. A number of royals were in attendance, including the Queen Mother, Princess Margaret, and you guessed it, Anne. Was there a twinge of jealousy? No one will really ever know, but given the speedy timeline of Andrew and Camilla's relationship and the hastiness of it following the romance between Andrew and Anne, it's hard not to jump to conclusions. When Camilla Parker Bowles and Prince Charles married in 2005, Princess Anne reportedly gave Camilla the cold shoulder. It should be noted that a number of the royals weren't thrilled about the nuptials, and Queen Elizabeth didn't even attend the ceremony. Body language expert Judy James told Express that after their wedding, members of the royal family looked less than enthused about the new couple. She said, "At the poses after their wedding, the Queen and Philip stood back and away from the couple on the steps, which prevented any happy family photographs being taken, and it looks very much as though Anne is equally unwilling to look anything more than frosty here too." Not exactly a warm welcome, but it should be noted that Anne was rather standoffish to Princess Diana Spencer too. As noted by E! News, Anne, quote, had no time for Diana and often found her relationship with the media irritating. Anne reportedly had, and still has, a much more traditional approach to monarchy and royal duty, which could explain her frosty behaviour to Diana and her less than welcoming behaviour toward Camilla.
Well, I feel there is that.
There are lots of rules, stipulations, and protocols that have to be followed by the royals, and it becomes even more confusing when the idea of succession comes into view. We all know that Prince Charles is the heir, but where does that leave Camilla Parker Bowles? After all, she is married to him, so when he becomes king, will she become queen? Will Princess Anne have to curtsy to her? It's hard to say. As noted by The Telegraph, Queen Elizabeth altered the order of precedence, quote, on blood principles, meaning that because Camilla is not a royal by blood, she will never be able to demand a curtsy from either Anne or Princess Alexandra when Charles is not around. Did the Queen change this rule intentionally with Camilla in mind? It's difficult to say, but the two have had a rather contentious relationship in the past, so nothing is off the table. As far as Camilla's title and rank over Anne is concerned, her son, Tom Parker Bowles, shed some light on the situation. He told The Times, "I honestly don't know if Mum will be called Queen. That hasn't been decided." Princess Anne was not particularly welcoming to either Diana Spencer or Camilla Parker Bowles, but how much of that did Camilla clue into? According to royal author Penny Junor, Camilla was well aware of Anne's cold demeanour and was rather intimidated by the princess for years following her marriage to Prince Charles. As noted by The News, Anne's chilly conduct was extremely nerve-wracking for Camilla. Nothing complicates matters more than romance, and from what Junor assessed, Anne took some time to warm up to the idea of having the woman who married one of her loves around. Junor said, "The affair between Andrew and Anne came to nothing, but I think they were hugely fond of each other, and they remain hugely fond of each other, and I think Camilla has always had a bit of a problem with that." She continued by saying that Anne has been known for her, quote, abrasive demeanour, and given the personal history between the women, Camilla has appeared to be intimidated by her for quite some time. Camilla Parker Bowles might be married to the heir to the British throne, but it certainly seems as though Princess Anne, who is 15th in line to the throne, has the upper hand. As noted by Express, Anne started her life as a working royal at the young age of 18, so her responsibilities have been a consistent component of her life. Camilla only formally joined the royal family in 2005, so even on the very basic level of timing, Anne runs circles around her. This is fairly obvious based on the dynamic between the two, and body language expert Darren Stanton told Express that Camilla's insecurity around Anne is very obvious, even to this day. Commenting on Anne's strong presence, Stanton said that she is by far the, quote, dominant character between her and Camilla, and it's clear that her unwavering persona has rocked Camilla's confidence. also bringing in Sophie, Countess of Wessex, and wife to Queen Elizabeth's youngest son, Edward, into the picture. Stanton asserted that while Anne and Sophie can carry their own, Camilla still suffers from, quote, insecurity. While all pictured together, it is painstakingly clear that Anne has the upper hand. We all know the famous cheating scandal that rocked the royal family, but what if we told you that Camilla Parker Bowles set her sights on Prince Charles because of Princess Anne? Leading royal biographer Penny Junor asserted that Camilla got with Charles in order to spite her then-boyfriend Andrew Parker Bowles, who was, by all accounts, still romantically attached to Anne. It was allegedly a tit-for-tat situation, according to the news, and if it hadn't been for Andrew's infidelity, Camilla might have never pursued a relationship with Charles. While speaking at the Henley Literary Festival, Junor asserted that Camilla was, quote, passionately in love with Andrew, but his romance with Anne and other women pushed her over the edge. Camilla reportedly caught Andrew cheating, slashed his tyres, and wrote a message to him on his car in lipstick. She then reportedly set her gaze on Charles, and the rest is history. Junor said, when she was introduced to Charles, she thought, Andrew is at the moment off with Princess Anne, you know, her brother. Teach Andrew a lesson. So she had a fling with Charles. Despite the drama and the presence of Camilla Parker Bowles in the royal family, Princess Anne is still very close to Andrew Parker Bowles. In fact, as noted by Harper's Bazaar, Andrew is the godfather of Zara Phillips, Anne's daughter. And to make matters even more weird, Prince Charles is the godfather of Tom Parker Bowles, Camilla and Andrew's son. We'll give you a minute to sit with this information because there's a lot of inter-family dynamics going on. So what is it with Andrew that has him so enwrapped in Anne's life, as well as his exes? Harper's Bazaar noted that Andrew had a very close relationship with the royals since childhood, as his father was a good friend of the Queen Mother's. Andrew was even a page boy at Queen Elizabeth's 1953 coronation. By all means, the relationship between Camilla and Anne has yet another layer of complication to it, as there are a lot of exes, a lot of history, and a lot of drama to afford. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have been in the news a lot lately, in part because their future within the royal family is up in the air.
This morning, Harry and Meghan are accusing the BBC of libel over a report claiming the new parents had named their daughter Lilibet without asking the Queen.
Prince Charles, who is all but acting as king even though he's not technically on the throne yet, has taken the steps to shrink the size of the royal family. And while Harry and Meghan are almost certainly on the outs, questions about the monarchy and Camilla Parker Bowles' influence are arising, and Princess Anne reportedly has something to say about it. A royal insider told New Idea, Anne has always found Camilla opportunistic, and with her and Prince Charles's roles being widened in 2021, she's really throwing her weight around. The insider continued by sharing that Anne has gotten frustrated with the dynamic, as she, quote, rarely gets any alone time with her brother to share her thoughts. It was also reported that Camilla wants Anne to simply let go of any past resentments toward her, but that the princess is still holding on to rooted grudges. Time will tell how Camilla will help shape the future of the monarchy and where Anne will fit into it. Despite the obvious historically rooted tension between Anne and Camilla, body language expert Judy James asserts that they may have come to a place of understanding as they are both trying to support and maintain the monarchy. In the wake of Prince Philip's death, the already assertive Prince Charles once again stepped up to the plate, bringing his wife and sister along with him. James told Express that while, quote, the relationship between Anne and Camilla might have been difficult, they appear to be making strides toward understanding. James said, senior royals do seem to have closed ranks around the Queen recently, creating an elite squad of Charles, Camilla and Anne, Kate and William, and Edward and Sophie. James further explained that there will most likely always be distance between Camilla and Anne, as well as between Anne and Charles. Yet all of them have seemingly put aside their differences in order to get the job done, as it were. James said, they are beginning to look as though shared goals in terms of their desire to sustain the image of the royal firm have brought them closer together. Romantic relationships have seemingly put Princess Anne and Camilla Parker Bowles at odds, but the princess undoubtedly helped Camilla and Prince Charles when it came to asserting their relationship. As noted by Express, Anne was the first royal to not only divorce her spouse, but then to marry the man she had an affair with. Here are the details. While married to Mark Phillips, Anne cheated on him with Timothy Lawrence. She subsequently filed for divorce from Phillips in 1992 and very soon after got married to Lawrence. This by no means was a traditional thing to ever happen in the otherwise morally upright royal family, but it's safe to say that her trailblazing ways helped Camilla out enormously. Camilla was famously Charles's mistress, as the two maintained their relationship throughout Charles's marriage to Diana Spencer. After divorcing Diana and navigating her tragic death, Charles married Camilla in 2005. It's safe to say that without Anne, Camilla would have had no precedent to rely on when it came to marrying the man she loved. So while these two have certainly had their ups and downs, they have helped each other in a way.
Princesses Eugenie and Beatrice have celebrated their father, Prince Andrew, in the past. But how do they feel now that he may have cost them their roles in the royal family? Prince Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, has been remarkably open about the pair's decade-long marriage. In a 2007 interview with Harper's Bazaar, she revealed that Andrew was deployed on military service only 2 weeks after their wedding, and that she spent nearly the entirety of her pregnancy with the pair's first daughter by herself. Things didn't improve after Princess Beatrice was born. In fact, Ferguson added that her husband only received 10 days of leave following the birth, and then he was right back out at sea. In response, she claimed that the team at Buckingham Palace essentially told her to deal with it. She shared, "When he left and I cried, they all said, 'Grow up and get a grip.'" Beatrice was born only 2 years after her parents got married in 1986, which likely made her mother's isolation feel even more intense. Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson's divorce became official in 1996, after the two first separated in 1992. Unlike a lot of divorced couples, Andrew and Sarah stayed close, literally. In fact, they both continued to live in Andrew's home, Royal Lodge, and the two raised their daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, there together. As Sarah once explained to The Telegraph, the relationship they have with their kids was worth it. She said, "We are co-parents who support each other and believe that family is everything. I'm proud of the job we have done together in bringing up our children and sustaining a strong family unit. Our bywords are communication, compromise, and compassion. That's not all that the family of four do together." As numerous outlets have reported over the years, including The Guardian, Andrew has also made a point to take family vacations with Sarah, Beatrice, and Eugenie. In 2016, Princess Eugenie opened up in an interview with Harper's Bazaar about her day-to-day routine. After revealing that she typically goes to bed at midnight, Eugenie added that the one thing in the world she can't do without is her family, including her mom, Sarah Ferguson, and her dad, Prince Andrew. After explaining that both her mother and her sister, Princess Beatrice, are the people she turns to when faced with tough decisions, Eugenie revealed that her dad is, quote, "the rock of the family." Eugenie has also previously credited both of her parents with helping her and Beatrice stay grounded and focused under the constant scrutiny of both the media and the public at large.
I must explain that the British press at the moment is completely and utterly cruel and abusive and is so invasive.
As she once said, her parents are the reason she's able to hold herself together. Eugenie shared with British Vogue, "We've had some serious grounding from our parents. They've had their fair share of terrible media interest, and it makes us stronger." Of the two sisters, Princess Eugenie is a lot more forward-facing than her more private sister, Princess Beatrice. While Beatrice doesn't have a public Instagram account, Eugenie does, and it certainly seems like she loves to use that account, in part, to celebrate the relationship that still exists between her parents. In July 2019, Eugenie turned to Instagram to congratulate her parents on what would have been their 33rd wedding anniversary, concluding the post by writing, "Thank you for always being the best of friends and bringing us up together." In a lot of ways, it seems like one reason Eugenie feels so comfortable celebrating their wedding anniversary is because Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson have done so much work together to appear as a united team for their children. While Andrew has not commented publicly on their relationship, Sarah explained to The Mirror, "Well, we're very happily divorced. It might sound strange, but we believe very firmly in what we've got." Princess Beatrice gave birth to her first biological child with husband Edoardo Mapelli Mazzi in September 2021. While many of her family members were able to be on hand to help welcome little Sienna Elizabeth into the world, one person was notably absent. Just as he was not able to be present for Sarah Ferguson's pregnancy with Beatrice, Prince Andrew also missed out on the birth of Beatrice's daughter in London. The reason, however, couldn't be more different. The reason Andrew couldn't be there for Beatrice is that he was reportedly hiding out in hopes of avoiding Virginia Giuffre's legal team, who intended to notify him of Giuffre's intent to sue for sexual abuse and assault. According to CNN, Giuffre's team was eventually successful, and Andrew ended up not meeting his first granddaughter until 2 weeks after she was born. A source expressed surprise about that fact to The Sun, saying that even given Andrew's circumstances at the time, it is quite something that he had to wait almost 2 weeks before he met her. While their status as the daughters of Prince Andrew means that Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice have always been a part of the royal family, the two have had decidedly smaller roles in the institution when compared to Prince William and Prince Harry. Those roles have been pared down over the years, with both girls having professional jobs outside of their royal duties. This is partly due to Prince Charles' desire to have a smaller circle of working royals in general, but also likely partly due to the ongoing sexual abuse lawsuit against Andrew. Some have speculated that any hopes that Eugenie and Beatrice might have had of being worked into the royal family in a larger way have likely been dashed as a result of the case. While royal experts agree that Andrew's recent loss of his royal affiliations and titles will not directly impact his daughters, commentator Richard Fitzwilliams told inews.co.uk that it is very unlikely either woman will be allowed to step up into any new royal positions. Additionally, both could be called upon to testify against their father. After Andrew decided to press ahead for a full legal trial by jury, many began speculating that both Eugenie and Beatrice, among others, could be asked to give depositions in the case.
When it comes to the royal family, two of the siblings that garner the most interest are Prince Charles and Princess Anne, Elizabeth's two eldest children. While both are notoriously private people, we were still able to dig in and find the truth about their lifelong relationship. The environment in which you find yourself as a kid can really make all the difference to your childhood, and Prince Charles and Princess Anne had a fairly unique experience as children. There is only a 2-year age difference between them, so they were particularly close, in both years and proximity, as kids. Queen Elizabeth ascended the throne when Charles and Anne were toddlers, and as Hello asserted, the two, quote, relied on one another for company, especially when their parents travelled or spent long hours at royal events. Charles was even pictured helping his sister walk down the steps to greet Elizabeth and Prince Philip as they arrived back from a royal visit to Malta in 1954. Just one example of how two little royals learned to rely on one another. We love a bold little sister, and Princess Anne takes the cake where this is concerned. As noted by Express, Anne reportedly knew how to assert herself in any room from a young age, and even got into it with her older brother when it was called for. Mabel Anderson, a former royal nanny, said that Charles was, quote, never as boisterous or noisy as Princess Anne, who by far had the much stronger, more extrovert personality. Anderson asserted that from an early age, Charles seemed weighed down with the understanding of his future as the King of Great Britain. Anne, however, was far more playful and oftentimes broke the rules. Royal biographer Nicholas Courtney told the outlet, "It cannot have helped either that Anne was physically more robust than her brother."
The Queen's coronation, they wouldn't let you go to that.
They wouldn't let me go, yes. I missed it. I was sort of tied to the rocking horse.
He also revealed that Anne's boxing gloves once had to be taken away from her because she was about to do some damage to her older brother. He said, "There are quarrels in every family," Princess Anne even admitting in retrospect that she and her brother fought like cats and dogs. Princess Anne and Prince Charles certainly had different childhoods and expectations. One was the direct heir to the British throne, the other was a young girl in the 1950s, but Anne asserted herself from a very young age. As noted by Express, the siblings did spend a number of years away from each other while they attended different boarding schools, and while this may have contributed to their fairly distant relationship, this period of time in their lives did establish a rather amazing precedent for royal women. Anne was one of the first women to experience an education education outside of the palace. Her mother, Queen Elizabeth, and aunt, Princess Margaret, were both educated at home, but Anne had her sights set higher. While Charles attended the Gordonston School in Scotland, Anne attended the Benenden School in Kent. While they did spend time away from each other, Anne recalled to Vanity Fair that she wouldn't trade her experience for anything. She said, "I had a governess and 2 friends, and that was never going to be enough, really, so I was only too pleased to be sent off somewhere else." We've all heard the saying, an heir and a spare. Unfortunately, Anne's role as second to her brother was something that she understood thoroughly. Anne has received a bit of flack in her time as a royal. As noted by Express, royal biographer Nicholas Courtney recalled that Anne had been, quote, cited as being thoughtless when compared to Prince Charles, as she would forget to say thank you or maintain royal decorum. But perhaps her supposed carelessness can be attributed to her belief that she would never be a ruler. As the second child and daughter to Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, Anne more or less knew that she would always be overshadowed by Charles in a way. She even spoke about it to The Observer in 1980, revealing, "I've always accepted the role of being second in everything from quite an early age. As it stands, Charles is first in line to the throne. Anne is 15th in line." For a family that truly embodies the stiff upper lip mentality, Prince Charles and Princess Anne have been able to keep part of their lives together jovial. Evidence of such can be found in a viral video clip where Charles creeps up on his younger sister during an official royal event in 2018 and startles her. Despite the fact that they were both in their 70s at the time, the moment was really cute to see. In the clip, Anne turns around and grins at Charles, which is quite a rare thing to see from the otherwise stoic princess. Royal correspondent Charlie Proctor posted the video on Twitter, and some people took to the comments to express how lovely and normal the exchange was between the siblings. One person wrote, "Something only a big brother can do and live to tell about it." No matter how much time has passed, big brothers will always act like big brothers, even at royal events. If you're a fan of the movie What a Girl Wants, then you know that the posh English grandma told Amanda Bynes' character that British people, quote, only show affection to dogs and horses. And when it comes to the royals, this might happen to be true. As Hello noted, one shared interest between Prince Charles and Princess Anne is their love of horses, though in different events. According to Polo Weekly, Charles was an avid polo player since his teenage years. Due to injuries, he retired from his polo career in 2015, but passed the passion for horse-based sports to his sons. Anne, on the other hand, made a name for herself in the equestrian world, picking up horseback riding at the young age of 11. She won gold at the 1971 European Championships and enjoyed a number of accolades for her riding. While the news of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's departure from the royal family made headlines, it should be noted that Prince Charles, who will one day be king, started making moves to condense the royal family. Harry and Meghan seem to be on the outs, as well as Prince Andrew's daughters, as Charles is all but determined to limit the royal purse to family members who actively work to secure and promote the monarchy. But as he's been narrowing things down, fans of Princess Anne have called on him to maintain his sister's standing. As noted by the Bristol Post, royalists became saddened when they learned that Charles had plans to focus the monarchy on Prince William and his family, an unfair move in some eyes, given that Anne has consistently been one of the most hard-working royals. Royal editor Robert Jobson told Express that Princess Anne will most likely have a leading role in the family and that, despite her brother's attempt to cut people out, she will most likely survive the chopping block. Royal family members aren't really the most personable people. They typically keep to themselves and have often refrained from being too emotional. But on a rare occasion, Prince Charles reminisced about his childhood with Princess Anne and even shared some of his thoughts with his mother, Queen Elizabeth. Charles sat down for a portion of the 2016 BBC documentary Elizabeth at 90, A Family Tribute, and watched old home videos of him playing with his sister. The siblings were running around Holcombe Beach in Norfolk, which is located close to the Sandringham estate. In the video, the two young kids are seen in swimsuits and towels and are chasing each other through the weeds.
Always such fun playing hide and seek in those dunes.
Charles then shared his thoughts on footage of him and Anne buried in the sand all the way up to their chins. That I remember, feeling you were never going to get out. Sadness has a way of bringing people together. As awful as situations can be, moments of tragedy can unite even the most distant of family members, and that was certainly the case for Prince Charles and Princess Anne. As Town & Country noted, the royal siblings shared their grief when their father, Prince Philip, died. Sharing statements with the public, one right after the other, both Charles and Anne expressed their sadness. Anne wrote, "You know it's going to happen, but you are never really ready. It is his example of a life well lived and service freely given that I most wanted to emulate." Charles and Anne even walked side by side during their father's funeral procession. People noted that women typically aren't part of a royal funeral procession, but Anne made it clear that she wanted to join her brother and the men in her family to pay her respects to her father for one last time. Charles and Anne kept close to one another throughout the walk behind Philip's casket, sharing their grief with the world. You can tell a lot from body language. It's the means of communication that often highlights more truths than anything you can say or do, so it doesn't come as a surprise that the body language between Prince Charles and Princess Anne has been analysed time and time again. Body language expert Judy James told Express that throughout various events and appearances that Charles and Anne have made together, it's become increasingly clear that Anne has far more confidence than her older brother. She said, "Charles has always shown signals that suggest self-pity and inner anguish. Conversely, she said that Anne has consistently shown physical signs of assertiveness and confidence." James went as far back as looking at both Charles and Anne's childhoods, asserting that while Charles was academically inclined and approached his life with the monarchy in mind, Anne adopted a far more athletic and no-nonsense approach to life. James said, "Her body language signals with her brother Charles suggested, almost from birth, that she was the one who had been gifted all the confidence." Many royal titles, honours and medals are given to family members and British nobility. Princess Anne, while aware that her older brother would always carry more titles than she would, fought for her place at the table. When Anne was invited to join the Order of the Garter, a chivalry order that dates back to Edward III in 1348, she made sure that she would hold the same rank as Prince Charles. Queen Elizabeth appointed Anne a Knight of the Garter, rather than a Lady of the Garter, in 1994. As such, Anne has used KG following her name since, and thus holds the same level of honour and rank as Charles. The princess's decision was also noted on the royal family's official Twitter and was met with some praise by Anne's fans. One fan wrote, "Got to love her. Always her own way, but in line with what's expected of her." Throughout his time as a public figure, Prince Charles has made it very clear that he is a friend to the environment. He's spoken at length about the importance of conservation and has even encouraged others to adopt a more plant-based diet. This is an area, however, where he and Princess Anne disagree. Anne discussed her thoughts on topics such as veganism and climate change with Australian Women's Weekly, and she did not fall in line with her brother's point of view. "You can't have a world without livestock. They are a necessary and very constructive part of our expectation to feed ourselves." She went on to say that she found single-issue groups very irritating. Charles, on the other hand, has been vocal about animal agriculture and its dangers to the planet. While attending a conference in Washington in 2011, he shared statistics about animal agriculture and then said, "There is plenty of evidence that the Earth cannot keep up with the demand." Anne shared that she and Charles have had rather short talks about their differing points of view, but it definitely doesn't seem like a topic that they'll come to a consensus about anytime soon. Family members that go through thick and thin together typically bond, and while Prince Charles and Princess Anne aren't the closest of siblings, they did go through very difficult personal experiences at the same time. Anne even benefited from the circumstances to an extent. Anne separated from her husband, Mark Phillips, in 1989. By 1992, they had filed for divorce, a big no-no in the royal family. However, in the same year, Prince Charles and Princess Diana's relationship had erupted, and they too became officially separated.
Did you try to be faithful and honourable to your wife?
Yes, absolutely.
Because her older brother's separation was such a huge point of public interest all over the world, Anne was more or less able to get away with her divorce and second marriage without a hitch. It's not often that siblings can benefit from each other's downfalls, but that was certainly the case for Anne.
She may be the Princess Royal, but is she also the Queen of Shade? Harry may be breaking tradition, but Anne's breaking bad with these two former royals. There's no doubt that Princess Anne is a Spitfire. In 1974, when she was only 23, she was returning to Buckingham Palace when another car forced her vehicle to stop, and the man inside, Ian Ball, tried to kidnap her. When Ball tried to get Anne out of the car to score a ransom from her family, her response was not bloody likely.
I was scrupulously polite.
This is who we're dealing with. As such, she's always been a staunch protector of those close to her, especially her nephews, Prince William and Harry. When Princess Diana died in 1997, Queen Elizabeth II attracted nationwide scorn for her absence from Buckingham Palace. The British people felt that she should return to London to grieve with them, per Hello magazine. What did Queen Elizabeth do instead? She stayed at Balmoral with her 2 grandsons. In a 2017 interview with ITV News, Anne praised her mother's decision because it was the best for the boys, saying, "I don't think either of those 2 would have been able to cope if they had been anywhere else. They had that structure, they had people around them who could understand, give them the little time that they had, which was never going to be very much, to try and come, even in a fleeting sense, to terms with what had happened. Since the very beginning, she's had Harry's back and has been very protective of him." Since family is everything for Princess Anne, Prince Harry's marriage to Meghan Markle wasn't exactly a home run in her eyes. At least, this is what TV personality Deborah Davies told the Daily Star, revealing, "Princess Anne is fabulous. She just gives everything that she thinks away on her face. She doesn't need to say anything. You can see it in her eyes." Davies noted that Anne doesn't hide what she's thinking. Davies said that this was especially evident at Harry's wedding, where Anne, among other royals, was dubious about the match, adding, "Princess Anne is just like her dad was. Prince Philip could see straight through Meghan Markle." Anne's evident displeasure during social situations was oh so clear again at Philip's funeral in April 2021. Meghan, because of her pregnancy with daughter Lilibet, wasn't able to attend, something that royal biographers Carolyn Durand and Omid Scobie wrote about in Finding Freedom in an exclusive for E! News. Since Harry and Meghan had rocked the boat with their bombshell interview with Oprah Winfrey, the royal family was feeling touchy about the couple. According to Durand and Scobie, in truth, several members of the royal family are understood to have been quietly pleased that Meghan stayed in California because they didn't want a circus. In light of this, Anne evidently snubbed Harry at Philip's funeral, Express notes. Anne and Sophie Wessex, wife to her younger brother Prince Edward, were especially cold toward Harry at the sad event. True to the position of the royal family, Princess Anne avoids stating any political affiliation. It's the family code that royals, quote, remain strictly neutral with respect to political matters, as the royal family's website notes. It was particularly distressing to Anne that she got dragged into a political debate in 2019 when former President Donald Trump visited Buckingham Palace. As Vanity Fair reports, when Queen Elizabeth II motioned to Anne to join the lineup, the princess shrugged her shoulders. Many took this to mean that she was snubbing Trump when, in fact, she thought her mother was asking if there was anyone else in the lineup. An insider explained to Vanity Fair, saying, "The princess was unhappy to be dragged into that particular story because she has always been careful not to be seen to be political in any way. She is also incredibly respectful, so any suggestion that she would laugh at anyone behind their backs was quite upsetting for her." Meanwhile, Meghan Markle could not be more different. In September 2020, Vogue asked whether she would become the political princess and cited a reporter who said Prince Harry and Meghan Markle chimed in on the US election and essentially encouraged people to vote for Joe Biden. Before anyone else predicted, Princess Anne foresaw that Meghan Markle wouldn't last long as a member of the working royals. Royal commentator Neil Sean, using his YouTube channel, recapped a meeting between Anne and Meghan that likely offered more tough love than Meghan was expecting. Sean explained that Meghan requested the meeting with Anne, knowing that she has a long-standing tradition of being one of the most hardworking royals. Anne's wisdom to Meghan was all about understanding that royal life is service and work, not celebrity status and glamour. As Sean described it, Princess Anne reiterated this mantra. She pointed out that it wasn't a working monarchy, it was a job. You turn up on time, you do your research, and do the duty. The meeting, as expected, didn't go very well. As Sean explained, according to an inside source, Meghan Markle failed to warm to Princess Anne. Apparently, as Sean saw it, Princess Anne always knew Meghan had a, quote, very short shelf life in the roles of the monarchy. Since a major mantra of the royal family is don't explain, don't complain, we don't always know what's going on behind the scenes. Therefore, body language becomes even more interesting when it comes to the royals, compared to celebrities who can be candid about their thoughts. Body language expert Darren Stanton told the Wall Street Journal, "The Queen followed this very strict protocol that she was given by her father, not to show emotion, stiff upper lip. You've got to suck it up at all costs." While this might be the case, Princess Anne and Meghan Markle had an exchange in 2018 that was fascinating to body language experts like Judy James, who spoke with Express. The two women sat together at an event and had a mutually pleasant experience. James further explained, Meghan's passion for her causes and her eloquence, plus what looks like a shared sense of humor, did throw up some poses where the two women looked genuinely happy in each other's company. It's worth noting that this event preceded Meghan and Prince Harry's departure from the royal family, but it does show that Meghan and Anne had a positive rapport during the former's early days with the royals. James also noted that this was rare for Anne and that she didn't warm, for example, to the late Princess Diana. As should be obvious, Princess Anne is all about hard work and family loyalty, and when you're a member of the royal family, this translates to a busy life as a working royal. That's not to say that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle aren't hardworking or loyal to their families, it just means that it translated differently for them.
I'm thinking, how could you possibly take that long? I mean, it takes me 10 or 15 minutes.
This manifested when they announced on January 8, 2020, that they were stepping down as senior members of the royal family, per People magazine. Anne gave a dig at the couple a few months later when she spoke with Vanity Fair in May 2020. She admitted that she's not always a fan of change for the sake of change, and says that often, the tried and true way can be the most successful, adding, "I don't think this younger generation probably understands what I was doing in the past, and it's often true, isn't it? Nowadays, they're much more looking for, oh, let's do it a new way, and I'm already at the stage, please do not reinvent that particular wheel." That's about as big of a zinger as a royal family member can serve. But it's fair to say that Anne was not impressed by Harry and Meghan's decision to step away. Princess Anne was never enamored with the idea of the HRH title, which stands for His Royal Highness or Her Royal Highness. While Anne is formally known as the Princess Royal, being the eldest daughter to then monarch Queen Elizabeth II, she didn't want her children to have the same burden. As such, her daughter Zara Tindall and son Peter Phillips have no such encumbrances. According to Princess Anne in a conversation with Vanity Fair, "I think it was probably easier for them, and I think most people would argue that there are downsides to having titles, so I think that was probably the right thing to do." As Tindall describes it, the experience was a positive one, with her sharing with Express, "I'm very lucky that both my parents decided to not use the title, and we grew up and did all the things that gave us the opportunity to do." For Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, they faced a different experience with their two children, Archie and Lilibet, since they won't get the coveted title. As an insider described to The Sun, Harry and Meghan have been left furious that Archie and Lilibet cannot take the title HRH. That is the agreement. They can be prince and princess, but not HRH because they are not working royals. Clearly, the couple has very different ideas than Anne does about what HRH can mean for a kid and their future.
We're told by the palace that the issue of titles is going to be something that is going to be sorted out after the official mourning period.
After Queen Elizabeth II died, Princess Anne made history in the ways in which she honored her late mother. When the Queen's coffin was placed in Scotland at St. Giles Cathedral, Anne made history by being the first woman ever to stand beside the coffin in the historic tradition called the Vigil of the Princes. The tradition has to do with guarding the coffin, and she was joined by her brothers, King Charles III and Princes Andrew and Edward. She also walked behind the coffin in the procession prior to the Vigil of the Princes, along the streets of Edinburgh. Anne also wore the Royal Navy ceremonial uniform. Even though she hasn't served in the military, she has honorary titles, as The Sun reports. The experience was vastly different for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry following the Queen's death. There was considerable emphasis placed on the question of Harry wearing a military uniform, and he did not during the Queen's funeral procession, CNN notes. The reason was that Harry had stepped down from his royal duties and therefore would not be in uniform, even after having served in the British Army for 10 years. However, King Charles III changed protocol and said that Harry was granted permission to wear his uniform at the Queen's Vigil on September 17, 2022.
We all know about Prince Harry's rocky relationship with his brother, William, but where does Kate Middleton fall into the mix? Kate has been by William's side for over a decade, so she's been a pretty integral part of Harry's life too. Here's the truth about Harry and Kate's relationship. The world watched when Prince Harry and Prince William walked behind their mother's casket in 1997, just two young boys, but they were grieving on the world stage. Both Harry and William went on with their lives, and William met Kate Middleton at the University of St. Andrews in 2003. Kate met Harry quickly thereafter, and things blossomed from there, a St. Andrews source explained to the Daily Mail. From the earliest days, Kate always maintained an open-door policy to Prince Harry. While they were students, she always made him feel welcome. The three also spent weekends together. Of course, Harry's teens and early 20s were a bit rough, with drugs, fights, and other controversies. So it's hard to say exactly how his behavior impacted his relationship with his brother and Kate. His early years were a bit all over the place, and we can't help but wonder if Kate gave him some sisterly advice. Perhaps it sounded a bit like Harry's description of being a royal, revealed during that infamous Oprah interview.
You got to get dressed, you got to get in there, you wipe the tears away, shake off whatever you're thinking about, and you got to be on your A game.
If anyone is going to tell you the truth about your prospective significant other, it's your sibling. You can always count on them for their brutal honesty. But that was a reality that Kate Middleton reportedly clued in on. As noted by the Daily Mail, Kate quickly learned that a positive relationship with Prince Harry was crucial in maintaining a good romance with Prince William. An inside source even said that Kate, quote, knew that getting on with Harry was key to her relationship with William. Of course, Kate was from a fairly normal family and had a sibling of her own, so it comes as no surprise that she was a bit of a natural when it came to bonding with the young prince. A source told the Daily Mail, "From day one, Kate made a massive effort with Harry, but it was a natural thing because she grew up in such an inclusive family. The En Masse, Middletons, and all that." En Masse Middletons was a nickname the family picked up because they always moved together. Looks like Kate really knew what she was doing.
I hope we'll be able to have a happy family ourselves.
The royals are known for being private. They reportedly rarely talk about their feelings, the inner workings of the family, the experiences they go through, or the realities of being royal. However, Prince Harry sat down with Newsweek in 2017 for an interview and was surprisingly forthcoming about the dynamic that he had with his family members, Kate Middleton included. Let's start with the Queen. Harry called her remarkable, something we can all agree on. He then talked about his late mother, Princess Diana, sharing that she did everything she could to make his life fun and safe. Harry hardly mentioned his father, Prince Charles, and his wife, Camilla Parker Bowles, which, given the history there, doesn't come as a huge shock. But what about Kate? When William asked her to marry him, Harry called Kate the sister he'd never had. Newsweek also reported that Harry had made a habit of going over to his brother and sister-in-laws for dinner at Kensington Palace, as Kate would make him his favorite meals. These two clearly have a very special bond. At one time, Prince Harry and Kate Middleton were neighbors. According to the Daily Mail, Harry lived in the two-bedroom Nottingham cottage on the Kensington Palace grounds, which was right next door to Kate Middleton and Prince William's apartment, Apartment 1A. At one point, according to an insider, Harry was reportedly more than comfortable just going over to his brother and sister-in-law's apartment whenever he felt like it. The source said, Harry is totally at ease popping over to the Cambridge's gym to work out next to Will's. And he's used to seeing Kate in her cashmere dressing gown reading to Charlotte, or joining in cozy family suppers, eaten from their laps. They also shared that Kate encouraged Harry to come play with his niece and nephew, Princess Charlotte and Prince George. Baby Prince Louis wasn't on the scene yet, as often as he wanted. But, as noted by Harper's Bazaar, things allegedly got complicated when Harry and Meghan Markle started their lives together. For a while, they lived in the two-bedroom apartment that Harry had been occupying as a single man. They eventually relocated to Frogmore Cottage. Even if you're not a fan of the royal family, you most likely know some of what went down between Prince Charles and Princess Diana. After a decade of stress, scandal, and infidelity, the two got divorced. Diana tragically died in 1997, and Charles married his longtime companion, Camilla Parker Bowles, in 2005. So where does Kate Middleton come in? An insider told the Daily Mail that Kate stepped in for Harry as an emotional confidant, given that the role had previously been filled primarily by his mother. And while sources say that William and Harry get along with Camilla and are happy to see their father happy, the brothers don't really confide their deepest thoughts in Camilla. So it was Kate that Harry reportedly turned to in moments of need, and the two reportedly developed a genuine friendship while relying on one another for support. Kate was described as Harry's trusted counsel, and while their time together didn't always consist of deep talks, they were known to watch Game of Thrones together, for instance. They always had each other's backs. There's nothing more fun than being an aunt or uncle. You get the best part of the kids without having to change the diapers or do the 2 a.m. feedings, and it certainly seemed like Prince Harry embraced the role of fun uncle. An inside source told the Daily Mail that Kate Middleton and Harry really bonded over his free and easy spirit, and his attitude came in handy when playing with her kids. The source shared, Kate adores the way Harry plays with her children. He is very good with them, a charming big kid and silly uncle. But as you can imagine, things went downhill pretty quickly, and given the rift between Harry and Prince William, Harry's role as an uncle suffered. According to the 2020 book Finding Freedom, Harry and Meghan and the Making of a Modern Royal Family, Harry's bond with Prince George and Princess Charlotte suffered as a result of the feud between the brothers. The authors also alleged that Kate was fiercely loyal to William, and that even during his feud with Harry, she did, quote, little to diffuse the situation. Things tend to get more complicated when new additions to the family are made, but according to Finding Freedom, things reportedly got distant between Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle, a no-go for Prince Harry. The authors alleged that Kate and Meghan had met each other with a distant politeness, and the tone of their relationship was something the press and public picked up on fairly quickly. Things really came to head at the King Power Royal Charity Polo Day when Kate and Meghan were spotted together. They reportedly had a cordial but distant rapport that was pretty much obvious to everyone. Of course, we can imagine that the dynamic didn't please Harry at all, especially considering that there was a lot going on in the royal family behind the scenes. While Kate and Meghan barely talked at the event, the Finding Freedom authors assessed that their dynamic was reflective of the conflict between Harry and the institution of the royal family. Either way, it seemed as though Harry's relationship with Kate, his brother, and the royal family was slowly starting to crumble. The interview. 2 words. And if you're a fan of the royals, you know exactly what we're talking about. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle sat down with Oprah Winfrey and pretty much aired all the royal dirty laundry. Unsurprisingly, Kate Middleton was reportedly mortified over what they shared.
What was hard to get over was being blamed for something that not only I didn't do, but that happened to me.
As noted by page 6, one large point of contention between Kate and Meghan was over wedding details. It was originally reported that Meghan made Kate cry over flower girl dresses, but Meghan asserted in the interview that it was actually the other way around.
A few days before the wedding, she was upset about something pertaining to, yes, the issue was correct about flower girl dresses, and it made me cry.
Of course, it was just one small example of how quickly things had degraded between Harry and Meghan and Prince William and Kate. Royal expert Katie Nicholl explained, "You never hear about Kate falling out with anyone because she is very careful with how she treats others. So for this story to be circulating is very hard." Nicholl also said that Kate was saddened, disappointed, and hurt by the interview. And given what we know about the bond she used to have with Harry, it makes all of it sting just a little more. Hindsight is always 20/20, but that doesn't make it any less frustrating. And for Kate Middleton, it was reported that she regretted getting involved with the soap opera that was Prince Harry and his exodus from the royal family. According to page 6, Kate and Prince William set about surrounding themselves in goodness in order to combat the stress that Harry and Meghan Markle's departure was causing. What did said goodness consist of? Their children, Kate's parents, Pippa Middleton and her husband, and close family members. An inside source told page 6, William and Catherine could not be more discreet. They don't want to get involved. Even when Harry spoke about the fallout with William, there was no briefing from them. And by saying nothing, that is the smartest move. Throughout the drama enveloping their extended family, Kate and William reportedly made an effort to listen to their advisors. The source concluded, they don't wish to elevate this soap opera. For a good chunk of time, Prince Harry was always trailing Prince William and Kate Middleton. He was the third wheel, to put it bluntly, but all of that changed when Meghan Markle joined his side. So it was quite the sight when Harry, William, and Kate reunited for the first time since Harry's departure to the United States. The three joined each other during the funeral proceedings for Prince Philip, who passed away in April 2021, and it seemed to go better between them than anticipated. William and Kate made a point of chatting and walking with Harry, and they all seemed to be in good spirits for the reunion. The three even went to a private funeral wake held for Philip at Windsor Castle shortly after the public ceremony. Of course, Meghan didn't join Harry as she was expecting their second child, so it was just the original three who made the event. With so much having happened between them, we can't help but wonder what Kate and Harry said to one another. We don't know what was said, but a body language expert analyzed the reunion of Prince Harry, Kate Middleton, and Prince William at Prince Philip's funeral. Joe Navarro told Today that Kate served as a peacekeeper between the brothers, and that she figured out a way to get them back together while also giving them their space. He revealed, "If there is discord between the brothers, we don't see it here. William has set the pace, waiting for his brother to catch up, and Kate has moved to the side so that the brothers can be together." Navarro also pointed out that the proximity between the three royals was an indication of comfort, as they all were appropriately distanced from each other, adding, "Their proximity, their gait in synchrony, their countenance, and gaze back and forth suggests strongly that they are getting along." Kate, who joined the brothers for most of the service, did step back and give them a chance to speak. Just the two of them. Maybe one day, they'll reveal the nature of their chat. Much English breakfast tea has been spilled about Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle, but what about Kate's relationship with the Duchess of Cornwall? Here's what you need to know about the relationship between the Duchess of Cambridge and Prince Charles' wife, Camilla Parker Bowles. Kate Middleton met Prince William in 2001 when they were both students at the University of St Andrews in Scotland. They started off as friends, and by 2004 they were officially dating. A couple of years after that, Kate was attending high-profile events as William's girlfriend, including the wedding of Camilla Parker Bowles' daughter, Laura, in 2006. Camilla might not have been quite as smitten as William, however. In the book Game of Crowns, author Christopher Anderson alleged that Camilla referred to Kate as, quote, pretty but dim, and deemed her too low in status to become a royal. Kate's parents, Michael and Carol Middleton, were considered commoners as they weren't members of the aristocracy. Camilla, on the other hand, was a member of the aristocracy even before she married Prince Charles. But there may have been more at play than just snobbery. According to Anderson, Camilla was jealous of Kate's public popularity, as he wrote, young, gracious, smart, and stunning, the White Queen, known familiarly as just plain Kate, captured the world's imagination even before she could officially lay claim to her royal lover's heart. As things between Kate Middleton and Prince William grew more serious, it seems Camilla brushed aside any hard feelings that may have existed. She apparently even went so far as to give the future Duchess of Cambridge advice on how to hold onto her man amid all the pressures of royal duty. After all, before her current relationship with Prince Charles, Camilla had originally dated the prince decades before, only to see it end when Charles was sent overseas to serve in the Royal Navy. After William and Kate graduated from college, the prince was expected to assume more official royal duties. At the same time, he was training to be a helicopter pilot in the Royal Air Force. Robert Lacey wrote in his book, Battle of Brothers, William, Harry, and the inside story of a family in tumult. After St Andrews University, William's timetable was proving rather unfit. Roundable marriage had not been included in that schedule. Camilla urged Kate to be patient and told the future Duchess, per Lacey, fit your timetable. Well, basically your whole life around his. Prince William eventually proposed in 2010. Kate Middleton's 2011 royal wedding to Prince William at Westminster Abbey was always going to be a massive event. While such a ceremony requires a team of planners, Camilla Parker Bowles had some important tips to share. While her marriage to Prince Charles was grand, her 1973 wedding to Andrew Parker Bowles had been declared, according to The Express, the Society Wedding of the Year. In the weeks before Kate's wedding, the two women were seen enjoying a long lunch at the Berkeley Hotel in London, joined by Kate's sister Pippa and Camilla's daughter Laura. The ladies reportedly chatted about everything from meal options to music choices. As another restaurant goer told the Daily Mail, I did hear talk of trumpets, and someone said, we can't have trumpets, the ceiling is too high. I heard chipolatas, sausages on sticks and mini pizzas, but I don't know whether it was ironic or not. Each June, Kate Middleton and Camilla Parker Bowles share a carriage ride to Trooping the Colour, a spectacular celebration that has been held for more than 260 years to mark the reigning sovereign's birthday. Crowds line the London streets to watch the procession, which features 1,400 soldiers, 200 horses, and 400 musicians. It begins at Buckingham Palace and ends at the Horse Guards Parade. Senior members of the royal family travel the route either on horseback or in a horse-drawn carriage. Eventually, everyone returns to Buckingham Palace and gathers on a balcony for the big finale, watching the Royal Air Force fly past. Protocol dictates that Kate and Camilla arrive in the same carriage while their husbands ride separately on horses in honor of their ceremonial roles as colonels of the household division for different army regiments. Prince William is colonel of the Irish Guards, and Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, is colonel of the Welsh Guards. Kate Middleton is usually the picture of poise, but even the best of us slip up every now and again. She's been called out at least twice for perceived slights against Camilla Parker Bowles, whether they were intentional or not. The first time was in 2018, when Camilla was on the receiving end of Kate's famous expressive eyes during the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle at St. George's Chapel. The two women were seated beside each other, and at one point, Kate appeared to shoot some side-eye in Camilla's direction. A year later, later, Kate and Camilla attended the Order of the Garter along with other royals. At one point, Kate was having a lively conversation with Queen Letizia of Spain, while Camilla stood nearby with her back turned to them. Then, when Camilla turned around and tried to join in the conversation, she was left hanging for a few moments as the two younger royals appeared to ignore her. Because the divorced Camilla Parker Bowles is the second wife of Prince Charles, it was decided upon their marriage that her title would become Her Royal Highness the Princess Consort when her husband takes the throne, which would mean that Kate Middleton would officially be the next Queen of England. Or at least that's what everyone thought until a note about Camilla's future title disappeared from Prince Charles' website, as the Telegraph reported. The official explanation for the information being removed online explained, frequently asked questions are updated regularly. This is one question that Clarence House has not been asked by the public for some time, which is why it no longer features. But Sally Bedell Smith, author of Prince Charles, The Passions and Paradoxes of an Improbable Life, alleged that Prince Charles dislikes the made-up title and will make Camilla Queen Consort, the traditional term for the wife of a reigning king. As for who will officially become the next Queen of England, though, only time will tell.
This really isn't something that we're going to be able to change quickly and overnight.
No matter what may be going on in private, Kate Middleton and Camilla Parker Bowles have displayed a fondness for their relationship in public. When Camilla's brother died unexpectedly in 2014, Kate and William were touring New Zealand and Australia. But despite a hectic schedule, the couple made sure to express their condolences, issuing a statement that read, "The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge were saddened to learn this morning of the tragic death of Mark Shand. Their thoughts are with the Duchess of Cornwall and her family at this time." And while the royals are famously tight-lipped about each other, Camilla did share a rave review of Kate prior to her marrying Prince William. CBS reported that Camilla said during an event at the Covent Garden Academy of Flowers, "Kate's a lovely girl. We're very lucky." It's no secret the British press can be vicious toward the royal family. Prince Harry even cited it as a reason he left England and moved to California with Meghan Markle. During her long courtship with Prince William, Kate Middleton was dubbed Waity Katie in reference to how she continued to put up with the prince's reluctance to get engaged.
I really valued that time for me as well, although I didn't think it at the time.
She was routinely photographed by intrusive paparazzi and scorned for her middle-class upbringing, with that criticism extending to her family. Even after her marriage, it didn't stop, with topless photos of Kate on a yacht being published by a French tabloid, and an article in Tadler criticized her weight and reported that Kate felt trapped, amid other claims. Still, Camilla Parker Bowles arguably had it worse. Her affair with Prince Charles means she has long been criticized by the British public and press. When you attend hundreds of public events a year, something is bound to go wrong. Fortunately, both Kate Middleton and Camilla Parker Bowles are able to laugh at life's mishaps. One such moment occurred at Trooping the Colour in 2019 when Prince Louis, Kate's youngest son, who was just over a year old at the time, got a little too excited waving his arms about and nearly knocked Camilla's hat off. But there was no need to panic, as both Mom and Grandma found it funny. At a previous flypast in 2018, this time to mark the 100th anniversary of the Royal Air Force, Prince Charles had a wardrobe malfunction involving his jacket. Charles, Kate, and William had a good laugh about it as Camilla managed to sort the issue. Both women are known to be quite funny in private as well, and at least one royal observer said the ability to see the lighter side of life helped strengthen their relationship with each other. Penny Jr., an expert on the royal family, told Maclean's, "They are two very normal people. Camilla is so easy to get on with, so unstuck up, and Kate is young and friendly." Both Kate Middleton and Camilla Parker Bowles have been caught up in Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's criticisms of the royal family. In the couple's explosive Oprah Winfrey interview, Meghan said it was Kate who made her cry during a pre-wedding argument about flower girl dresses, as opposed to the other way around, as it was reported in the press. And while Vanity Fair reported that Camilla tried to advise Meghan on how to deal with the pressures of royal life, a source told the Daily Mail that Meghan blames both her and Kate for leaking negative stories to the press.
There is an active role that the firm is playing in perpetuating falsehoods about us.
In practical terms, the departure of Harry and Meghan meant the remaining royals had to pick up more duties. Prince Charles, Prince William, Kate, and Camilla made a rare joint appearance at a medical rehabilitation center in England in 2020. The outing led some in the media to dub the group the new Fab Four, a riff on the nickname that was previously used to describe Harry, Meghan, Kate, and William. Camilla Parker Bowles and Kate Middleton enjoy making desserts and are unapologetic about having a sweet tooth. On the TV special, A Berry Royal Christmas, Kate told host Mary Berry that she always makes her children's birthday cakes and explained, "I love making the cake. It's become a bit of a tradition that I stay up till midnight with ridiculous amounts of cake mix and icing." And Camilla has serious skills of her own. While serving at the Royal Voluntary Service Lunch Club, she decorated trifles with whipped toppings and raspberries. She also shared a favorite chocolate biscuit cake recipe for people to try during lockdown. Of course, getting to enjoy dessert without having to make it is even more fun, and Kate and Camilla couldn't stop themselves from sampling an array of sweets during a visit to the decadent Fordham & Mason store with Queen Elizabeth. Public service is an important part of royal life. Both Kate Middleton and Camilla Parker Bowles support several charities, using their fame to raise attention for worthy causes. Camilla is the patron or president of more than 90 charities, many of which focus on assisting the elderly, abused women, and the arts. Kate has far less, with 21 patronages, but that's understandable given that she is also raising 3 young kids. And it was children that brought Kate and Camilla together when they participated in a Zoom call in support of Children's Hospice Week in 2020. Both royals talked about how heartening they found the work done at children's hospices, which provide support for families facing a terminal illness. Camilla said of one of her early visits, "When I arrived, I was totally amazed by what I found, the feeling of warmth and laughter and happiness." Kate followed up by saying, "It's a credit to the staff. It's really inspiring." Kate and Camilla also displayed their close relationship by working side by side, along with the Queen, at a party promoting the Big Lunch program and its involvement with the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. The festivities included a large cake, so we're betting Kate and Camilla enjoyed a slice or two together.
Are Prince Charles and Prince Harry close, or have they been distant? Here's what the bond between Prince Charles and Prince Harry is really like. After Prince Harry was born, Prince Charles was reportedly upset by the sex of his second child. In Andrew Morton's Diana, Her True Story, Princess Diana is quoted as saying, "Charles always wanted a girl. Harry was a boy. His first comment was, 'Oh God, it's a boy.'" But Charles seemed to take issue with more than just Harry's sex. Morton wrote that Diana was upset by her husband's reaction to Harry's appearance, saying, "And he's even got red hair." The joke apparently didn't sit well with Diana, who, according to Morton, was extremely hurt and offended, as her siblings also had red hair. While the comment about Harry's hair color may have been tongue-in-cheek, Prince Charles wasn't joking around about wanting a daughter. Morton wrote, "What's worse, at Harry's christening in December, Charles reportedly told Diana's mother, 'We were so disappointed, we thought it would be a girl.'" Decades later, Charles made it clear he still wanted more girls in the family. According to People magazine, when Prince William's wife, Kate Middleton, was expecting her second child, Charles said, "We're hoping for a granddaughter." Prince Charles and Princess Diana's rocky marriage made headlines in the early 90s, and the couple finally announced that they were separating in 1992. The separation meant that Prince Harry was shuffled around a lot between 2 households, leaving him feeling like he and Prince William, quote, "never saw their mother enough or they never saw their father enough," as he said in the 2017 documentary Diana, Our Mother, Her Life and Legacy. According to royal biographer Robert Lacey, author of Battle of Brothers, William and Harry, the dissolution of his parents' marriage, whose divorce was finalized in 1996, had a lasting impact on Harry. Lacey told Page Six his attitude was, "Well, I'm not going to make the same mistake as my parents. I'm marrying for love." According to Lacey, it has been this impulse that has guided him in his love life, notably in his whirlwind courtship and marriage to Meghan Markle. While Prince Harry hasn't publicly criticized his upbringing by Prince Charles, biographer Penny Junor told the Daily Beast that the father and son have a, quote, "slightly tricky relationship," explaining that Charles has always been quite a remote figure. Junor described the elder royal as consumed by work. leading to a bit of distance from his children. Jr. said that Charles was never a neglectful father and always saw to his children's physical needs, but hinted that some of their emotional needs may have been unmet. She added, Prince Charles has sometimes overlooked friends and loved ones beside him. Prince Charles' parenting style was a stark contrast from Princess Diana's. While Charles prioritized his duty to the monarchy, Prince Harry told Newsweek, "My mother took a huge part in showing me an ordinary life." In a speech on the anniversary of Diana's passing in 2007, Harry called his mother his guardian, friend, and protector, describing her as someone who never once allowed her unfaltering love for us to go unspoken or undemonstrated. Princess Diana's passing in 1997 crushed Prince Harry. He and his brother were spending their summer break with Prince Charles when the news broke that Diana had been in a fatal car accident, and it fell to Charles to convey the devastating news to his sons. Harry opened up about the traumatic event in the 2017 documentary, Diana, 7 Days. Prince Harry, who was just 12 at the time, recounted feeling a sense of disbelief in the aftermath of his mother's death, and he credited his father with making sure his sons were protected and looked after, in spite of the fact that Charles was also going through the grieving process. Somewhat controversially in the eyes of the public, the boys were kept secluded in the countryside in the days leading to Princess Diana's funeral, where they were shielded from the press. According to Prince William, this was a decision made by Queen Elizabeth and Prince Charles, who wanted the boys to have space and the peace to be with the family and not be immersed or having to deal with serious decisions or worries straight away. Following his mother's passing, Prince Harry did his best to ignore his emotions. He told The Telegraph in 2017 that he didn't seek help in processing his grief until his late 20s. While Harry appeared stoic, there were signs that he was hurting, and the royal developed quite the wild reputation. His bad behavior resulted in Prince Charles sending him to rehab when he was 17, according to the Irish Times, although he was only there for a day and wasn't actually admitted to a treatment program. Instead, the stint seemed to have been more to scare Prince Harry into straightening out his act following news reports that he had been drinking underage and smoking marijuana. Royal biographer Penny Junor wrote in The Duchess, however, that Charles' decision to have his son visit a rehab facility may have been a calculated PR move. She wrote, Harry had in fact once visited a rehab center, but not because his father was worried about him. Harry bitterly resented being made to look bad so his father could look good. While Prince Harry's charity work and his desire to live out of the spotlight have often drawn comparisons to his mother, there's at least one major way in which he takes after his dad. Prince Charles is so committed to sustainability that he will have his clothes repaired or patched rather than buy something new if he can help it. He told British Vogue, "I can't bear any waste, including food waste. I'd much rather find another use." Just like Charles, Prince Harry is eco-conscious.
No one can deny science, otherwise we live in a very, very troubling world.
In the documentary Prince, Son, and Heir, Charles at 70, Prince William revealed that Charles would take his sons out litter picking when they were boys. This spurred Harry to do the same at school where, as he said in the documentary, he was teased for picking up trash. Prince Harry called his dad a stickler for turning lights off, before admitting that he now has the same obsession. Prince Harry has quite a fortune, estimated to be in the ballpark of $50 million. A large part of that came from his inheritance from his mother, but his fortune was able to grow even larger as his father bankrolled him for years. While Harry received 5% of his income as a working royal from the sovereign grant, which, according to the BBC, is funded by taxpayers, the rest was from his dad. After Prince Harry and his wife made the decision to step down as senior royals, the couple stopped drawing money from the sovereign grant. Harry also revealed in his interview with Oprah Winfrey that the royals had cut him off financially shortly afterwards, leaving him to rely on his inheritance to set up his new life in California. Prince Harry's relationship with Meghan Markle moved at warp speed, which reportedly had some royals uneasy. Sources told People magazine that Prince William in particular was concerned when Harry said he was ready to get married after just a few months of dating. Still, it seems Prince Charles approved of the match, and he even gave Meghan away at the wedding since her own father did not attend the ceremony. In the documentary Prince, Son, and Heir, Charles at 70, Prince Harry revealed, "I asked him to, and he immediately said, 'Yes, of course, I'll do whatever Meghan needs, and I'm here to support you.'" In 2020, The Mirror noted that royal watchers had noticed that Charles keeps a family photo from the royal wedding by the fireplace at Clarence House. According to Finding Freedom, the heir to the throne also keeps a framed black and white photo of himself escorting his daughter-in-law at his Clarence House residence. After Prince Harry and Markle announced they were going to step away from the royal family and would start a new life in the US in 2020, Prince Charles and Harry's relationship reportedly grew rocky. While there were plenty of rumors about the alleged tension between them, nothing was confirmed for a year until Harry revealed that things were, indeed, rough between father and son for a while. In his interview with Oprah, Prince Harry admitted that his father was upset by his decision to step down and that he stopped taking his calls. According to Harry, Charles didn't like that his son, quote, took matters into his own hands.
I will not be bullied into playing a game that killed my mum.
While Prince Harry and Prince Charles are now on speaking terms again, Harry said their relationship isn't quite the same. He added, "There's a lot to work through there, you know?" Prince Harry also admitted in the interview with Oprah that he was disappointed by his father's reaction to his decision to distance himself from the royal family. He even said he feels, quote, really let down. It wasn't just the lack of support that had him feeling that way, though, but also the fact that his father had been through something similar. Harry was referring to what had happened to Princess Diana decades earlier. One of the biggest reasons Harry decided to break away from being a senior royal was because he remembered the toll royal life and negative press took on his mother. He admitted, "My biggest concern was history repeating itself." Prince Harry confessed that he has conflicting emotions, though. While he wishes he'd had more support, he also acknowledged that leaving the royal family isn't easy, especially when you're the heir to the throne. He went on to say, "My father and my brother, they are all trapped. They don't get to leave, and I have huge compassion for that."
I also am acutely aware of where my family stand and how scared they are.
What did Prince William make explicitly clear about his children's relationship to their step-grandmother? And what popular game does she play with her other grandchildren? Keep watching to find out. During the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II, the royal family stood together in unity. Some royal watchers believed that the funeral could be a turning point in mending the relationships between Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, and the rest of his family, especially the bond with his brother William, Prince of Wales. An insider shared that the memorial for their beloved grandmother could be a time for the brothers to bond again, Us Weekly reported. However, when it was all said and done, those close to Prince Harry and his wife, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, report that the couple was eager to return to the United States following the funeral. While the royals appeared to stand united during the funeral, things behind the scenes were a bit more complicated. While the funeral seemed to be a missed opportunity for Harry and William, William's wife, Kate Middleton, Princess of Wales, was seen photographed with her stepmother-in-law, Camilla Parker Bowles. According to Showbiz Cheat Sheet, the pair have grown closer following Meghan and Harry's exit from the United Kingdom. However, Camilla's bond with the children of the Prince and Princess of Wales isn't what we expected it to be. According to Express UK, Prince William has made it clear that Camilla is not the grandmother of his children. Angela Levin, the author of a new book about the Queen Consort titled Camilla, From Outcast to Queen Consort, shared how she is not close with King Charles III's children and grandchildren. The reason for the strained relationship may have been the ages at which the boys were when she married their father. Levin shares, William and Harry were 23 and 20 respectively when Camilla officially became their stepmother in 2005. She was more of a friendly grown-up they saw occasionally at royal gatherings. She tried to be encouraging rather than influential. Levin adds, nor has she tried to take over any responsibility as a step-grandmother to the Cambridges' children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, especially as Catherine's parents, Carol and Michael Middleton, are so close. However, Camilla seems to enjoy the children, even if William has made it clear that she is not their step-grandmother. Levin says, having them around is more like having a bonus. She loves children, and the more the merrier. Though it appears that Camilla Parker Bowles, Queen Consort, doesn't have as close of a relationship with the grandchildren of her husband, King Charles III, she does have a close connection with her grandchildren. Camilla has a large family of her own. She has 2 children from her previous marriage, a son and a daughter, and 5 grandchildren, all of whom she is close to. Her eldest grandchild is Lola Parker Bowles, the daughter of her son Tom Parker Bowles, and according to British Vogue, the pair have a special tradition. Camilla shared with the outlet, I do Wordle every day with my granddaughter. She humbly bragged that she tends to get a better score than Lola does each day. She'll text me to say, I've done it in 3, and I say, sorry, I've done it in 2 today. It's very satisfactory when it tells you how brilliant you are. Her other grandchildren include Eliza, Louis, and Gus Lopez, the children of her daughter Laura Lopez. Lola has a brother, Freddie Parker Bowles, the youngest of her biological grandchildren. So while she might not be as close with her step-grandchildren and great-grandchildren, She seems to have a special bond with her own side of the family.
Does King Charles III have grandpa envy? And how did he really feel when he first met Kate? Catherine Middleton, Princess of Wales, has been open about the importance of family in her life, revealing that spending quality time with her loved ones is something she doesn't take for granted.
And family is very important to you?
Yeah. No, it's very important.
The newly named Duchess of Cornwall, who is still the Duchess of Cambridge as well, has managed to maintain those family relationships while also balancing her role as the future Queen and parenting her 3 children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis. Of course, Kate also belongs to one of the most famous families in the world. After marrying William, the current Prince of Wales, she took her place within the royal family as the future Queen and the daughter-in-law of the man now known as King Charles III. After welcoming her first son George, she also likely became the mother of the future king. While she doesn't have royal blood herself, Kate is said to have made her own mark within the monarchy and even shares special bonds with the family, including her father-in-law, Charles. William and Kate first met when they were students at St Andrews University in Scotland. According to the Mirror, once the two began seriously dating, William brought Kate home to meet his father, and it seems that she made a good impression on her future father-in-law. After the couple made it official and got engaged, Charles was said to welcome Kate into the royal family with open arms, and she said he was very, very welcoming and very friendly toward her, adding that it couldn't have gone easier. Charles's affection for Kate only seemed to grow as her royal wedding to William approached, and the king was said to have given a very emotional toast at the couple's wedding reception at Buckingham Palace. Hello magazine notes Charles described Kate as the daughter he never had and added that the family was lucky to have her in their lives. He also wished the newlyweds a lifetime of happiness as they embarked on their new journey together. According to Express, it's clear that Kate holds a great deal of affection for the new king. Royal expert Judy James previously told the outlet that not only does she have a great rapport with Charles, but Kate's love for her father-in-law also seems to help her bond with his wife, Camilla, the Queen Consort. James said, "The affection Kate clearly feels for her father-in-law could be one big thing she has in common with Camilla." In the years since she joined the royal family, Catherine and Charles have been seen looking happy and comfortable with each other during public events. The pair have been photographed in many sweet moments together, such as embracing in Belgium in 2017 and making arts and crafts together in 2012. Catherine and her father-in-law have also been photographed laughing and joking together on several occasions, both with and without William at their side, seemingly offering proof that they have a sweet bond that's all their own. So how does Charles feel about Will and Kate's celebrity status?
That's a very good question.
Royal biographer Tom Bower claimed that Charles once felt overshadowed by William and Kate's popularity. In addition, the king was said to feel a bit left out and saddened that Kate's parents appeared to be the favourite grandparents among the Prince and Princess of Wales's children. But King Charles is said to have a real soft spot for his daughter-in-law. The monarch reportedly believes that Catherine has been a rock for the royal family during the recent scandals and tragedies they've endured. A source told Woman's World in 2021, to his surprise, this series of unfortunate events has brought him closer to Kate, who's been a real rock for not just William, but Charles as well. Kate is truly the daughter he never had, and he's grateful for her calming presence in such stressful times. It seems clear that Kate and Charles have a deep mutual love and respect for one another, which likely helps to create a solid support system and backbone for Prince William as he steps up as the next in line to the throne.
Prince Edward keeps a relatively low profile, but he's got more in common with celebrity royals like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle than you might think. Here's what we know about the trio's relationship. Prince Edward is the youngest child of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. He and his wife Sophie were tapped by the Queen to fill in as mentors to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle when they joined the royal family. And it turns out that was for good reason. The foursome have a lot in common. When Harry and Meghan showed up at their last royal engagement as senior royals in March 2020, they spent most of their time with Edward and his wife. As Express reported following the day's Commonwealth service, Harry and Meghan were photographed laughing with Edward and Sophie, and all four clearly felt very comfortable with one another. Queen Elizabeth was famously close to Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, who married Prince Edward on June 19, 1999. Elizabeth was a stickler for the rules, which is a trait she and her daughter-in-law reportedly shared. This might have been why Elizabeth asked Sophie to be a kind of royal mentor to Meghan as her relationship with Prince Harry developed.
It was so sweet and natural and very romantic. He got on one knee.
Meghan and Sophie also have somewhat similar common backgrounds, as Sophie gave up her own successful career in public relations to join the royal family, much like Meghan chose to leave acting behind when she married Harry. Both couples lived in Windsor, and Sophie and Edward had a lifestyle that Meghan and Harry similarly wanted to adopt for themselves and their children. Like Meghan, Sophie also had a bit of a rough time with the royal family at first, though her problems were different from the ones that Meghan faced. Back in 2001, Sophie was recorded by News of the World giving several candid comments about members of the royal family. The outlet ended up publishing a whopping 10 pages full of everything that Sophie divulged in the so-called Sophie tapes. As noted by The Guardian, Sophie was captured speaking freely to an undercover reporter about her personal political views, a big no-no for members of the royal family. She was also recorded sharing her thoughts on then Prime Minister John Major. Unlike Sophie's secretive slip-up, Harry and Meghan sat down for a high-profile tell-all interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2021 that made headlines around the globe. While many members of the family declined to comment on the interview, Prince Edward surprisingly got quite candid about how he felt about it while chatting with CNN. Edward appeared very sympathetic to Harry and Meghan's claims, even offering up that each member of the royal family has had to wrestle with similar dilemmas in different ways, depending on their own situations and responsibilities. As he put it, "Listen, weirdly, we've all been there before. We've all had excessive intrusion and attention in our lives, and we've all dealt with it in slightly different ways. And listen, we wish them the very best of luck. It's a really hard decision." Prince Harry and his brother Prince William had been battling it out in a years-long feud, reportedly made worse by the Oprah interview, and most of the royal family appears to be interested in staying out of the emotional tango the brothers are dancing. In an interview with the BBC, Prince Edward revealed that he definitely makes all attempts to avoid getting caught up in the middle of the brothers, and he also avoids weighing in on the ongoing tension. As Edward told the outlet,
"I stay way out of it. It's much the safest place to be."
Edward separately spoke about the rift between the pair and the rest of the family in an interview with CNN.
It's difficult for everyone. It's difficult for everyone. But as I said, that's families for you.
Harry and Meghan's decision to step back from senior royal duties in January 2020 resulted in the rest of the family divvying up the pair's tasks, responsibilities, and even patronages among themselves. Edward and Sophie found themselves in the position of taking on more and more of Harry and Meghan's responsibilities, and even showing up as representatives of the royal family more frequently than they had in the past years, according to Express. In October 2022, Hello reported that one such move came when Sophie became the first member of the royal family to visit the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Edward has similarly doubled down on his royal work and has devoted his time to the Wessex Youth Trust, which he and his wife founded ahead of their marriage in 1999. He's also been nurturing the Duke of Edinburgh Awards since his father passed away in April 2021.
Prince Andrew is one of the most controversial members of the British royal family, while Prince William is one of the most well-liked. They also reportedly don't like each other, which might have something to do with the time Andrew allegedly made moves to steal the throne. Much has been made about the royal line of succession, that is, the order in which members of the royal family can become king or queen. As Queen Elizabeth's oldest child, Prince Charles takes the first spot in the line of succession. The Queen's next oldest child, Princess Anne, was initially second in line, but that status was wiped out once the Queen's third child, Prince Andrew, arrived. Succession laws at the time stated that sons of a reigning monarch had precedence over daughters, although this rule was later changed. Up until the moment Prince William was born in June 1982, Andrew was second in line to the throne. It's hard to imagine Andrew ever ascending to the crown at this point, considering he is now outranked by William and William's children in order of birth, as well as Prince Harry and his children in order of birth. Still, there was likely once a time in which Andrew imagined that he could one day be king. These days, there's little chance of Andrew ever coming close. Long before the legal trial he's currently embroiled in, Prince Andrew has always made headlines for controversial reasons. In 1997, for example, Andrew reportedly proposed that he become Prince William's regent should the young boy need one. While the story has never been completely confirmed, in the weeks after Princess Diana's death, the royal family was reportedly concerned about the massive negative blowback they would receive as a result. This concern was especially centered around Prince Charles, whom the public had begun to distrust following revelations of his affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. It was speculated that Charles might opt to not become king upon his mother's death, instead choosing to pass the crown directly to his then-teen son, William. As such, many wondered who would rule in the event that William was still a minor at the time of his grandmother's passing. As royal author Nigel Cawthorne told the Daily Beast, Queen Elizabeth's third child might have spied an opening for himself during this time. Cawthorne alleged, Andrew tried to push Charles out of the way during the Diana scandal. As Charles's popularity popularity plummeted, Andrew lobbied the palace to install him as a regent for William. That has created friction between them, which persists to this day. Many royal commentators believe Prince William has never been particularly fond of his uncle Andrew. As a source told the Sunday Times in November 2019, William has reportedly spoken out against Prince Andrew within the royal family in the years since his uncle has been hit with allegations of sexual assault and abuse. The publication insists that William played a crucial role in the recent decision to remove Andrew from senior royal life. While speaking to the paper, the unnamed source was blunt, explaining, "William is becoming more and more involved in decisions about the institution, and he's not a huge fan of his uncle Andrew." In January 2022, Us Weekly reported that the Queen is said to be relying on William's decision-making skills once more. Royal watcher Kristen Contino told the publication that William was again central to conversations about removing Andrew's royal titles and patronages, saying, "William in fact was very involved in this decision, and it's been said that he met with the Queen in person ahead of their announcement that came out last week." Prince William's reported ill will toward his disgraced uncle doesn't stop there, however. As a trial looms in Prince Andrew's future, William is allegedly telling anyone who will hear him that he believes Andrew is a danger to the monarchy as a whole. An alleged friend of the future king told The Times that William is triggered by any family member he believes doesn't have the best interests of the monarchy as a whole at heart. The friend explained, "Any suggestion that there isn't gratitude for the institution, anything that could lead anyone in the public to think that senior members of the royal family aren't grateful for their position, William thinks is really dangerous." People magazine has also reported extensively on how William feels about Andrew these days, noting that he is united with his father, Prince Charles, in the belief that there is absolutely no room for Andrew in the royal family. As anyone who has followed the Prince Harry and Meghan Markle debacle has recently learned, anytime someone in the royal family exits, their duties and patronages must be doled out to those who remain. As one of the Queen's children, Prince Andrew was once responsible for a wide variety of these duties. In December 2019, many began speculating that, in light of Andrew's own decision to step back from senior royal status, some of his duties would fall on the shoulders of William himself. For example, William was ushered off on a trip to Oman only a week after Andrew's announcement, where they met with representatives and youth from aid organization Outward Bound. As Russell Myers shared on a podcast that week,
I thought this was quite interesting because Prince Andrew was the patron up until last week.
It is currently believed that things are so dismal between Prince Andrew and Prince William that the latter now refuses to even pretend that he supports his uncle, at least while in the public eye. In January 2022, William avoided a question about Andrew's ongoing legal situation. William was leaving a museum when he was greeted by a reporter who asked whether Andrew has his support. After initially claiming he couldn't hear the question, William was quick to completely rebuff the reporter as he tried asking again. The question came on the heels of the palace's decision to remove Andrew's titles completely, which has been described by a palace source as a ruthless and swift decision, and one that was likely recommended by both Charles and William. While only time will tell if Prince Andrew's relationship with Prince William will ever improve, it's abundantly clear that the two aren't likely to spend any quality time together anytime soon.
She's the dark horse of the Windsors, but how does Princess Anne feel about her future king? Like her late mother, Queen Elizabeth, Princess Anne is focused on service to her country. As historian Edward Owens told the New York Times, she's always recognized that the family can only enjoy the privileges of royal life if they work hard. The princess has also worked diligently to separate the public and private aspects of her life. Although Anne is famously reserved about her personal life, she has emerged as someone who forges her own path. One of her friends told the Daily Mail, she has never been, you might say, a natural in terms of doing what she is told. As Anne began her life as a working royal, she often looked to another close family member, her aunt, Princess Margaret. Body language expert Judy James tells The Express, there was a short period in Anne's life when both her body language and her choice of outfits suggested she was seeing her Aunt Margaret as something of a role model. With the birth of Prince William, Anne became an aunt, and she took her own unique approach to the role. Over time, the similarities between her and Margaret diminished, and what James called the Princess Royal's more stoic and no-nonsense side emerged. These qualities were noticeable at the beginning of Anne's relationship with her nephew. Prince William was born on June 21, 1982, while Princess Anne was on a royal tour in the U.S. As reported in the Daily Mirror at the time, the Princess Royal wasn't very happy when journalists questioned her about becoming a first-time aunt. She snapped at one reporter, "That's my business. Thank you." Anne also acknowledged that she thought too much fuss was being made about the new heir to the throne and didn't display a lot of confidence in their future relationship, saying, "He might not even like me when he grows up." However, following Princess Diana's tragic death, Anne demonstrated her compassion and sensitivity towards her nephews. Years later, she spoke out about her support for Queen Elizabeth's choice to keep William and Prince Harry at Balmoral rather than London.
And I don't think either of those two would have been able to cope. They'd been anywhere else.
Anne continued,
And they had that structure, they had people around them who could understand.
The princess also recognized the difficulty of grieving, saying,
"It's not possible for most people to do that in that space, never mind children of that age."
Anne also made sure that her nephew enjoyed a close relationship with her own two children, Peter and Zara. Starting at a young age, William and Zara were often spotted close together at royal events. As for William's relationship with Peter, Joe Little, managing editor of Majesty magazine, told People magazine, William and Peter Phillips were close when William was a teenager, and that has continued into the next generation. A royal insider even indicated that Peter might try to help mend William and Harry's rift, telling The Telegraph, "Peter is used to acting as a bit of a buffer. He may play that role again in a bid to pull them along together." Today, Prince William gets along very well with his aunt. In 2021, Anne and William delighted fans with 2 joint appearances in 1 week. As co-host Christina Garibaldi said on the Royally Us podcast, "This is a fun pairing that we may see more of, because obviously it works, and maybe they enjoy working together, because they are putting them out a little bit more."
Prince Charles may very well have had a complicated relationship with his parents, especially his father, growing up. But when the prince himself became a father, did he choose to raise his firstborn differently? Here's what you should know about Charles' relationship with his son, Prince William. In 1996, after being separated for several years, Princess Diana agreed to an uncontested divorce. According to Andrew Morton's biography of the late princess, Diana described that February day as the saddest day of her life. Prior to the separation, though, the couple were regularly at odds with each other. Morton wrote, "At home, the battlegrounds were their children and Charles' relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles." Diana's close friend, James Gilby, is quoted in Diana, Her True Story, in her own words, as saying, "She thinks he is a bad father, a selfish father." In the biography, Rebel Prince, The Power, Passion, and Defiance of Prince Charles, British investigative journalist Tom Bower alleges that Charles' relationship with William and Harry became strained during the divorce. According to Bower, Charles believed Diana had poisoned the boys' minds towards their father. Whether Charles believes that to this day, the prince has not stated. In 2017, at the age of 69, Charles fulfilled more royal duties than anyone else in the British royal family, a whopping 546 engagements. Charles' dedication to work is nothing new, according to royal biographer Penny Junor. When speaking to the Daily Beast, she divulged that the prince has always been consumed by work. Junor told the outlet, "It is a slightly tricky relationship with William because Charles has always been quite a remote figure. He has always been consumed by work." While he always made sure his children were well cared for, they allegedly did not develop a very close father-son relationship. Junor was quick to point out, this is not because he doesn't love his children, but because he's singularly focused on his work that he has, quote, sometimes overlooked friends and loved ones. Sadly, Charles' work ethic is what makes him such a great prince, but it's also what prevented him from becoming the doting father he likely could have been. Although often busy, Charles would make time to attend his son's school plays, though when William was little, there were times when he probably wished his father hadn't shown up. William once revealed in a documentary that he was in a school play as a wizard, and Charles was in attendance. The play called for a small explosion to happen in front of the young prince, but it didn't go off. William decided to keep going with his performance, despite being quite panicky. Eventually, the pyrotechnics did go off during William's line. The Duke of Cambridge said his father couldn't stop laughing for the rest of the play. He admitted to giving his dad, quote, a big death stare. But apparently, even that didn't work. Harry echoed his brother's comments, saying, and no one else. No one else laughs. He always laughs at the wrong moment and doesn't think, oh, I shouldn't. I should probably stay quiet. He just thinks it's the best thing ever. Oh, Dad. Following in his father's footsteps, Prince William attended boarding school. The prince's biography on the royal family's official website states that the young heir attended Ludgrove School, a pricey all-boys boarding school, in the early 90s. By 1995, William was attending another boarding school, Eton College, which actually is not a college, but a high school. While away at Eton, William, and later Harry, received letters from Charles. In a documentary about their father, the princes said the letters contained his famous black spider handwriting so bad it was hardly even legible. Prince Harry divulged, at school we regularly swapped letters and said, I think I know what it says, can you read it to me? And it was just drivel. William joked, adding, just in case it was a bollocking we didn't know about. Processing their parents' separation and divorce would have been hard enough for William and his younger brother Harry. Learning of their father's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles likely only complicated things further. And then, of course, the boys later suffered the loss of their mother in 1997. After Charles and Diana's divorce, and just 2 months before the princess passed away, Charles sat his boys down to explain his relationship with Camilla. Penny Junor wrote in the Telegraph, it was then that the father of two realized, according to Junor, William in particular didn't want to know. So Charles dropped the issue and didn't attempt an introduction until William himself asked to meet Camilla a year later. Junor described Charles as being, quote, always sensitive to William and Harry's feelings regarding their now stepmother. Eventually, the boys realized how happy Camilla made their father and that his happiness was more important than anything else. After the ITV documentary Diana, Our Mother, Her Life and Legacy was released and people started to notice that Charles wasn't mentioned in it, Harry and William performed some damage control. Speaking on behalf of himself and his brother, Harry told ITV News that their father was there for them following their mother's death. The prince also added, he tried to make sure we were protected. Harry also spoke with the BBC, saying, one of the hardest things for a parent to have to do is to tell your children that your other parent has died. Although some have criticized Charles and the rest of the royal family for having both William and Harry walk behind their mother's coffin at the funeral, Harry told the network he was very glad to have been involved. It seems Charles was indeed there for his sons after their mother's death. Perhaps the best way to learn the status of Prince Charles and Prince William's relationship is to take it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. ITV's royal producer Lizzie Robinson shared some of Charles' own words in a speech he gave at the opening reception of the International Wildlife Trade Conference in London in 2018. Prince Charles addressed the crowd saying, I can only say here how proud I am of the role my elder son William has played as a leader in this area, helping to raise the issue higher up the global agenda, including working with the Chinese government on the introduction of the ivory ban. Charles had similarly kind words for William at the conference in 2014.
And I was particularly pleased that my eldest son, William, was also able to lend his support.
Since 2013, William has been working to protect endangered animals across the globe by taking big steps to combat the illegal wildlife trade. In addition to helping save the lives of many animals, he's obviously made the Prince of Wales one proud papa. With Prince Charles fulfilling hundreds of engagements every year, he's as busy as ever. Prince William revealed in the BBC One documentary, Prince, Son and Heir, Charles at 70, that he wants his father to slow down a bit and create a better work-life balance. William admitted, I would like him to have more time with the children. Having more time with him at home would be lovely, and being able to, play around with the grandchildren. When he's there, he's brilliant, but we need him there as much as possible. Prince Harry agreed that he should spend more time with the family, saying, when we were kids, there were bags and bags and bags of work that the office just sent to him. We could barely even get to his desk to say goodnight to him. Hopefully, Charles will take some much-needed time off and foster great relationships with his grandkids.
Did Prince Andrew really go on TV and claim his daughter has more friends than her cousin, Prince Harry? What does Harry really think about Randy Andy's behavior? Here's some insight into Prince Andrew's relationship with Prince Harry. Both Prince Harry and Prince Andrew made headlines for their youthful indiscretions. In 2002, the BBC reported that a 17-year-old Harry was being sent to rehab by his father as punishment for smoking pot. After the incident, St. James Palace established that Prince Harry did, in fact, experiment with marijuana, but was certainly not a regular user. There were also headlines about the young Harry playing strip billiards, reportedly getting into a scrape with a cameraman, and wearing an extremely inappropriate costume. Still, whether it's to protect his family from the embarrassment or because he's truly a stand-up guy, Harry always seemed to admit his own fault in these situations and apologized publicly. As a younger man, Prince Andrew also earned his share of scandalous headlines, primarily to do with his reputation as the Playboy Prince, known for partying and dating a string of actresses and models. The Daily Mail once referred to his lifestyle as Randy Andy and his web of arm candy. Andrew has struggled to rid himself of his Randy Andy reputation for years, both before and after his relationship and decade-long marriage with Sarah Ferguson. This includes his scandalous 18-month-long relationship with actress Koo Stark, with whom he broke up after topless images of her from the 70s resurfaced. While some may think that these two men, who are both the rebellious black sheep of the royal family, would get along, Prince Andrew and Prince Harry don't seem like the buddies some may think they'd be. In 2018, Prince Andrew's daughter, Princess Eugenie, married her husband Jack Brooksbank, a mere 5 months after Prince Harry married his wife Meghan Markle. In an interview with This Morning, Prince Andrew made comments about the wedding that many viewers of the show took as negative and even competitive, including, "It will not be the same as the previous one that was held in May. This is not a public wedding. This is meant to be a family wedding." Despite Andrew's comment about his daughter's wedding being for family, compared to Harry and Meghan's wedding, Princess Eugenie and her groom invited more guests. Andrew added, "There will be a few more people than most people have. There are a few more than Harry had, but that's just the nature of Eugenie and Jack. They've got so many friends that they need a church of that size to fit them all in." Perhaps Prince Andrew was merely poking some good-natured fun at his nephew, but it's also possible he was throwing some shade. Rumors have circulated for years that Prince Andrew is not very polite to household staff. A former royal aide told the U.S. Sun, "I've seen him treat his staff in a shocking, appalling way. He's been incredibly rude to his personal protection officers, literally throwing things on the ground and demanding that they f***ing pick them up. No social graces at all." According to the 2013 biography, Harry, the People's Prince by Chris Hutchins, Prince Harry was raised with exceptional manners by his mother, Princess Diana. This reportedly led Harry to make a face when his uncle was rude to royal staff. Former Kensington Palace chef Darren McGrady, who was interviewed for the book, explained, "Andrew always came straight to the point and told you exactly what he wanted. Whereas Harry had been taught to say, 'Please, may I have?' Andrew would bark, 'Where are my mangoes? I want my mangoes.'" As of early 2022, neither Prince Andrew and Prince Harry retained their royal and honorary military titles. However, the reasons why they no longer have their titles are very different. Prince Harry, along with his wife Meghan Markle, willingly gave up royal life in early 2021. While the Queen allowed the couple to keep their titles as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, they agreed to no longer use the Royal Highness title in any of their charity work, and gave up their royal duties to be divided up amongst remaining royals. Although the deal allowed for a review after a year, Harry insisted to the Queen that they would not be returning as working members of the royal family. Prince Andrew, on the other hand, was stripped of his honorary military and royal titles, unable to use his Royal Highness in 2022.
We begin with a further fall from grace for Britain's Prince Andrew as the sexual abuse case against him in the US is allowed to proceed.
After a New York judge ruled that the sexual assault case against Andrew wouldn't be thrown out, and 150 British veterans wrote to the Queen, calling her son an embarrassment, the Queen was left with no other choice but to take away his titles and force him to fight his battle alone.
But you were staying at the house of a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay.
The case was settled out of court on February 15, 2022. Princess Eugenie, Prince Andrew's younger daughter and Prince Harry's cousin, has seemingly been caught in the middle of her family's drama. Eugenie has reportedly always been close with her cousin Harry and was known as his biggest supporter when he and his wife Meghan Markle decided to leave royal life behind and move to California, likely putting her in an awkward position with the rest of her family back home. Now, with her father's sexual assault scandal, she is being put in the middle of royal family drama once again. According to the New Zealand Herald, Princess Eugenie had been reportedly planning to support Harry during the release of his upcoming memoir, perhaps in hopes of mending the familial tension of late. However, with her father's recent scandal, she will likely be forced to pick her father over helping Harry. An inside source claimed, "Of course she wants to be there for Andrew and stay involved as the family strategizes on how to move forward. Eugenie is very close to her father. She may also feel she doesn't want to drag Harry's name into all this in the media by association." While Harry and Andrew may not be friendly these days, they seem to have Eugenie as a common ally.